And let's go.
And now it's time for Bikes, Mikes, and Idiots with your hosts, Ubi and Eric.
All right, guys, here we go again. Today we're going to have a special guest with us. But before we get into that, how have you been, Eric?
I have been doing pretty good. The holidays have been busy. I've been getting everything ready to go and just been eyeballs deep and getting everything ready, and work's been crazy. And yeah, so doing good. Doing good, though.
Same here. So we're starting to get back into our regular schedules here. Would you like to introduce our guest?
Yeah, so this is this guy I met last year at the Warrior Weekend. Awesome dude, good friend. His name's Steve Cleverly. And Steve, welcome onto the podcast, and it's good to have you over here now.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it.
So if you want to start real quick, just give us a real quick background of yourself so that our listeners can know who they're talking to.
Sure. Steve Cleverly. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer for 51fifty Rifles. I've been in the shooting sports community and the veteran and first responder community for, 25 years plus. Obviously, I'm with the Warrior Shield. I'm actually the Sergeant at Arms with the Warrior Shield. But my main thing is I do obviously firearms development and training for LE military contractors, etc.
Awesome. Now with that, I know what your road name is. So your road name is going to be Long Shot. So
Yes, sir.
what's that come from? I'm assuming you're a long distance shooter.
Yeah, I dabbled in the extreme long range for about 4 seasons now. In talking with Bob and so forth. I got my start and it kind of fell to place by accident. I sponsored the King of 1 Mile competition when I was with another company, and my mentor, I will just leave him at that, was a retired three letter agency guy, and lo and behold, was trained by Chris Kyle.
Oh wow!
And so he asked me. He said, "Hey," he said, "Do you want to shoot a match?" And I'm thinking, "Holy!" He says, I don't have a rifle that can do this, let alone the ability to do this." He says, "Just be in Virginia in October." He says, "We'll get you on a gun. Don't worry, we have everything for you." So I get down to Black Bear, Virginia, and I lay on the mat the first time, and the first three targets went from 1,000 yards up to 1,500, and I absolutely cleaned that first string somehow. And I looked back, and he was calling my wind, and he said, "You're hooked." I said, "What?" He says, "This is like f***ing crack." He said, "One hit, you're hooked, and I'm your dealer."
Yeah.
And I said, "Fair enough." And then I ended up finishing 10th in that match. And,
Oh wow!
I thought it was the easiest thing in the world until I shot my next one.
Until you shot my
But
it's
that
always
quote,
easy till the next thing, right?
right. So that quote actually came from Chris Kyle. So when he was trained by him, obviously, you know what Chris was doing for veterans
Yes.
and guys in the agency, right?
Yep.
So they were on the range one day, and this individual said, "Hey," he said, "I've never engaged a target past 1,000 yards." And Chris, being Chris, says, "Hold my beer," and hops on a side by side and puts a target out at 2,000 yards and set up the target, whatever, got his dope, and this individual got on target 5 for 5 at 2,000 yards, and
Wow.
that's exactly what Chris Kyle told him.
Yep. I believe that's got to be, because I know even shooting, I think most of the time I don't go out more than 300 or 400 yards just because the range we have doesn't have the ability to do farther than that where I'm at. But
Right.
there's something so satisfying of hearing that steel all that way down range hit, and that's awesome.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
it wasn't until I started doing things, working with 51fifty and so forth and training these guys, the rules of engagement for most LE are 500 and in,
Yeah.
and 500 is stretching it.
Yep.
So, when I started doing things for myself, reloading and building guns and so forth, to make an impact at a mile plus is just, it's awesome. You
Yeah.
fire a shot at it, and then you got a 4.5 second hang time before it even comes to a splash or hits the target. That's just, it's extraordinary to me. They say that extreme long range is golf, but for men.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
it's,
that's just wrong. We're both playing golf next Friday, so that's
oh, dude, I played golf since I was 7, so I'm right there with you. But
okay.
it's,
Golf for men. That's awesome.
but it really is. I mean, we play the wind and everything's
Yeah.
science, and that's my therapy is getting on the mat.
Well, and that's
Getting into these things and just working on it. It just takes your mind away.
I've talked to some of the guys who are in the sniper program in our agency, and they've all said the same thing. They've said that like that time from trigger to target is the longest time because you're just sitting there waiting to see if you hit it. And he's like, literally time stops. And you're like, oh man, I missed. And then you hear the ding and you're like, oh, I got it. He's like, it's so fulfilling.
So the first time I ever shot the king at 2 mile, it was a 14-second hang time.
Oh my
Oof,
gosh.
that's insane.
So I fired the shot, went into town, grabbed a snack, came back, and it was still in the
It
air.
was still in here. Yeah.
Still waiting to hear the little
Yeah.
ting.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. So I've shot a 50 cal once, and we had a target that was maybe about 1,000 yards, give or take. And the guy had it all set up, and even with that, it was the same thing. Like you fired it, and you're like, "Oh man, how the heck did I miss with this thing?" And then you hear it hit, and
Right.
you're like, "Oh, I didn't miss. I'm just dumb."
Yeah. You were just waiting for the round to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such a weird. Like I've watched like the Top Shot competitions and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and then I love it when they have the camera angle when they have the slow cameras and you can see the round cutting through the air and making the sound wave ripples. Like it's just so cool. Like that to me,
Right.
is
So
some of the coolest things.
between training SWAT teams and on the tactical side, and then shooting 3-gun and so on and so forth, when I got to that environment, you know, my coach, and it's the individual I was talking about before, he's usually the match director. So I'll be on the mat, and if he sees me rushing, basically, spray and pray,
Yeah,
he will come up and kick the shit out of my heel and say, dude, slow down.
yeah. Take a
And
breath.
it's like, okay, deep breaths, and you got to
Yeah,
work on your breathing. And, I joke that it's my therapy, but it really is. It
yeah,
forces me to calm down.
yeah.
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 Um, I
So that's
think.
good.
Oh, I was just.
What's it? You have a question?
Oh no, I was just.
You had a
gonna make
blank
the
look on
comment.
your face. Is that just your normal normal
that's
face?
just-
Okay.
After everything that's been happening today, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think honestly, I did 500 yards with iron sights.
Oh, that's not
That
bad.
was-
That's
Oof.
good.
That was
That's tough, but
yeah. That was.
I'm old.
no
I can't
thanks.
do that crap.
oh, I can't
do that
anymore.
anymore.
I can't see that anymore. Like
No.
I just can't.
But I think that's probably
So
the
I-
longest I've really done
Yeah.
outside of hunting.
So I used to
Yeah.
have a Dragunov and talk
Oh.
about like it didn't the thing was not accurate. Like it was
No.
it was accurate, but not like accurate. I mean, you could hit stuff, but it's like you're guessing. You're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
let me see. I'm going to get a sudden gust of gravity 300 yards out, and that's going to change things a little bit. But it was not a fun gun to shoot. Like honestly, I want to say my M4 was probably more accurate out
Yep, it
at
was.
those distances, and just it was a fun gun to shoot. Like it was just kind of
Yeah.
cool to shoot it, but it was not fun. I'm good.
It's funny because when I start training agencies, I start these guys out. Obviously, we work on trigger and everything at 100 yards, and truthfully, we start them out on a rim fire. But, um, you know, 9 times out of 10, I start them out at 1,000 because every little mistake you make with a rifle is amplified at that distance.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
So whether it's trigger control, if I have to call it a domestic just because you're beating it out of a trigger, or your breathing's off or whatever, that's where it's going to get amplified.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of the same like with a pistol at
Yeah.
25 yards. You're slamming a trigger at
You'll
one and a
notice.
half because we go from 1.5 out to 50 yards with our
Yeah.
shooting, and at the 1.5 it doesn't matter. At the 1.5 it's speed and center of mass. That's all. That's
Yep.
all you worry about is get it downrange, get some things in
long as
there.
you're
That's
aiming
your
in the right
close in
area.
shoot. As long as your general reference, and we don't even aim.
No, you don't even aim at that distance.
Oh, no.
I think out for us now it's to the 15. It's all point reference shooting out until the
Pretty much.
15, and then the 15-yard line. Now you start focusing on sights when you're moving back.
Yep.
So I
Yeah,
mean, it's
probably one of the best pistol instructors in the world is Joe Farewell, and he will tape guys' optics. I don't know if you guys are on RDSs or not,
no,
but
we don't have them. We're still iron sights for most of us.
yeah, I'm faster on irons, but I mean, he'll tape up optics, and it's the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, this is what you need to do: put rounds on target.
Yep. Yep. So that's a whole different. I guess, purpose of shooting at that point. That's
Yeah.
what, to me, that's what that comes down to. At 1,000 meters, you could have guys who can hurt you, but it's not. In my mind, it's not as immediate as that close in. Like, this is get the wet work done. Like, this is time to protect
absolutely.
yourself and go home.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different situation than like
Yep.
I transferred to a new location, so I didn't get to take my rifle with me. So the one that I've been shooting the last 10 years is at my old place. So I didn't get to take it with me, which stinks. So now I got to, they assigned me a new one, and now I have to get it set up the way I had it set up. And
Rock, I happen to know a guy.
Ooh.
So
I love you. So I really want to come out because I have a bolt action suppressed 308. It's just a Savage Hog Hunter, nothing crazy. But I've got the suppressor on it, and oh my gosh, is that fun to shoot?
Oh, it's awesome.
So I went out pig hunting with a buddy, and we shot 3 or 4 pigs before they even knew what was going on. We were using subsonic ammo, and the pig like looked over, like, hey, what's Frank bouncing around for? And then the next one gets popped. So he had an AR-10, and I had the 308, and we dropped probably 6 or 7 pigs before they realized what was going on. It was so much fun. Like, I was giggling every time I came back up on the optic. I was like, oh my god, this is fun.
Yeah, no, I love killing pigs. That was one thing moving down here from the Midwest. It's like, wait a minute, you guys shoot pigs at night? All right, yeah, let's try it. And it's an annual thing, sometimes a couple times a year, but it's a lot of fun down here.
Yeah, you guys, because you're near Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Well, and so that's the thing for the people that don't know, out in Texas, that's kind of just a
it's a
normal
feral
thing.
animal.
Oh yeah, they destroy everything.
Yep.
So population control stuff like that for people that
Yep.
Well, even in the Everglades, like now they've even in the Everglades have pig hunts because they've gotten so bad in the Everglades.
Really?
Oh yeah. So those and boa constrictors you can kill on site because there's so many boas out there, and oh my god, those things are going rampant over there.
Yeah, those pythons in Florida are insane. I have yet to go on a pig hunt or a gator hunt with Mike Stark, but I'm sure it's going to happen this year.
Oh, there you go.
Gator
I'm
hunt.
kind of planning on for this year's Warrior Shield. I'm planning on spending an extra day or two down there to go shoot a freaking dinosaur.
There you go. Hey, you're gonna do it with bow, or you're gonna do it with rifle?
Well, Florida's weird. It's not like you have to hit them with bang sticks.
Yeah.
So going down there, I was telling Mike, I was like, dude, I want to shoot with a bow. I want to shoot with a pistol. He's like, nah, we can use sticks. Like, yeah, that's adding an extra element of
Well, I'll
fucker
tell you,
factor.
if I don't have a video of you killing it and then jumping in the water after it and like screaming, "I've got you now!" and going in and wrapping it up, like I'm waiting for that. I want to see it.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to see it.
That would be
I want to
hilarious.
see it. That would be awesome.
So for the people that don't know, what's a bang stick?
Oh, yeah.
So bang stick is basically a broom handle with a 44 mag round or 357 mag round attached to the tip of it. So when you hit the gator in the head, basically it depresses the primer and
So just with the tip, right? You use just the tip?
just the tip.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
just the tip.
Perfect. Gets right in there.
Oh god, this is gonna be a fun episode to edit.
Oh yeah, you're going to be editing a lot of stuff out.
There's gonna be a lot.
So
of
that's
stuff.
the other thing. So one of the things we do is we have a cuss counter. And you're catching up very quickly. Yeah, you're catching up pretty quickly right now. So we'll put one up for this one today. That's good stuff.
See if we have a logo to put up for you, we can.
Yeah.
we can add
Oh
that
yeah.
up here for
I'll
you.
use your.
Well, I'll send you a logo.
Yeah, send me the
and
logo.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
we'll put
I have
up
no
and
problem with that.
We'll give you your own counter on that one because that's you're doing
Perfect.
good now. I've been every time I've been laughing. It's so hard. I have that's the hardest thing because all day long I'm dropping bombs, and so I try not to on here because we have a counter going. So at the end of the year on the 31st it resets.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I grew up in a military household. My father was a Marine, so I mean,
So
it's in my blood.
Yeah, it's in your blood. That's what happens. So it's good. So I know you said you're the product design development for 51fifty rifles. So I'll make sure I get the link from you because we'll link it in the description. But talk a little about 51fifty rifles and what specifically you do
Okay, so a little company history is 5150 got started. You guys probably remember when 7716 happened up in Dallas. Okay, so Keith was building just, ARs here and there. That's my business partner. And then when 7716 hit, that's when we really got our start. So when that happened, we wanted to do something for the families, and we did a crazy one-off build. And the National Fallen Officers Foundation president and at the time chief of police for Dallas said that is some 5150 stuff right there.
Yep.
That's how we named our company.
Yep.
It's the California Penal Code for crazy.
Yep, that's our agency uses it too. So if we get somebody, we're like,
Right.
yeah, that one's 5150, and everyone's like, oh no.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I got that.
So before we even became an actual true manufacturer, we were doing crazy one-off builds for charities. We started out obviously National Fallen Officers, and then migrated a couple smaller ones. Obviously Warrior Shield, you've seen our stuff down there, but Extreme Couture Foundation, Randy Couture's deal. Tig was one of our first ones that we did for Beyond the Battlefield, and now he's actually one of us.
That's awesome.
So in the 8 years that we've been in business, we've raised over $500,000 for veterans and first responders.
Oh wow, that's pretty
So
impressive.
right. So what that ended up doing was spawning us to design or completely redesign the AR platform.
Okay.
And talking to these veterans, whether it was at SHOT Show or whatever, they were bitching about the M4. They were, saying, well, this is a problem, that's a problem. So we got rid of all the problems. The one main one is the takedown pins. So our rifle here does not have any.
Oh wow.
And I can take this gun apart, swap uppers, swap calibers in about a second and a half
Oh damn.
versus, having to have baling twine in my kit
Yeah.
to do it. We ended up linking up at SHOT Show in 2019 with our now business partner, Optimum Parts. And we said, here's what we want to do. These are the ideas we have. And usually when Keith comes up with an idea or I come up with an idea, our partner David will be like, what the hell? And usually that means he can do it. Just it's going to take him some time, or he'll just say, no, it can't be done. The pins were the first part. So the way our cam works, it actually locks our upper to our lower much tighter. So think about it like a 2011. The reason why 2011s are so successful in the pistol world is because everything's linear.
Yeah.
Ours is the same way. It locks up tighter, so there's no battle rattle.
That's awesome.
But ultimately, and actually, excuse me, I was at an LE event here probably, I guess the first or second week in November. Austin PD put it on. I had some CBP guys come up and they were like, you changed the recoil signature of the AR. And of course I said, well, how so? Excuse me. And they were telling me, they're like, everything is linear. I don't have any muzzle rise, so I'm staying on target. I'm like, all right, so our idea actually worked.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, and it's good to
Yeah.
get that validation, I'm sure, from the guys that are out
Right. So, we're the first in the industry to offer a full length Arca rail handguard out to 19 inches. Our DMR rifle is getting quarter MOA accuracy at 500 yards. But we spent more money on R&D than we did marketing. So, this is our first year of truly hitting, the gun bunny type environments and SHOT Show and et cetera, et cetera.
there. Gun bunny,
We just,
I like that.
well, we displayed in 23. Ironically, that's where Tanya got her first SHOT Show, unfortunately. But yeah, that was our first year displaying with a product. We actually bought the booth space before we had a product ready to go.
Oh, so yeah, you guys were confident you were going to have it done then for sure.
Oh, not confident, scared. No, this is hand to God truth. We were assembling guns an hour before we had to drive to SHOT.
Oh, geez.
Because all right, so at the time our where our manufacturing facility is in the communist state of Massachusetts, and we were in here in Austin.
Yeah.
And that was 2022, I'm sorry. So 2022, we had the booth before the product. We were testing the product for durability, running it over with the trucks and hitting with sledgehammers and everything else. I was painting and assembling guns until 3:45 in the morning. We left at 8.
Oh, geez. So barely dried. You're just like, wrapping
Oh
it up
no,
and
Keith's wife Danielle, God love her. She hopped in the driver's seat. She's 4'11", standing on a stack of books, and Keith and I were passed out, for almost half the ride. But yeah,
oh
that was it was a fun time. But you know what? I wouldn't turn it down for anything. We're getting the attention of a lot of allied countries. That big green gun that you saw on top of the Sub-Zero
yeah,
truck this year,
yep.
um, that one was born because one of the allies wanted an adaptable sniper rifle that they could neutralize targets or at least put down covering fire out past a mile. So that one was designed and launched in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So your R&D department's moving fast.
Oh,
What you guys are doing?
we're humping. If we have something, something comes down the pipe, whether it's a 3-letter agency or whatever, they need something on the quick. Odds are we can probably design it and at least get prototypes out within 7 to 14 days.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's pretty
And
impressive.
is your manufacturing still in Massachusetts right now?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that makes it tough for me, especially this year because we've got some things coming down the pipe for SHOT Show where I have to be in Massachusetts. So it's going to be. And don't get me wrong, I was raised in the Northeast, but
Yeah.
my blood's thinned a lot since I moved here to Texas.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only good thing about going to Massachusetts is that's where Dunkin' is. So I mean, you do have some decent coffee.
Yes.
So that is
Yes,
that
but
is a
there's
good
actually a brewery in Spring. They have two of them, brewery in Springfield and another one of the towns called Treehouse. Oh my God, they only allow you 3 beers.
Ooh.
That's
They're 10% IPAs. They're absolutely
Oh.
delicious.
yeah. So I went on a thing with college. We were doing a sociology class, and part of it was going to Kingston, Ontario, because that's a town that's built, right off of Interstate 81 in New York.
Yeah.
And so we drove up there, and it was good that we had somebody from the school driving the vans because none of us could have driven it back. So we went to the brewery, and I tried a beer called the Exorcist. So I ordered a
Oh,
picture.
sweet Jesus.
I ordered a picture of it, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, is that just for you? And I'm like, yeah, why not? And they're like, okay. So my buddy ordered a picture. They're like, well, if he's going to order one, I'm going to order one. Well, we never
Right.
looked at it. It was like 18% alcohol by volume.
Yes.
It was amazing. It had whiskey in it. It was so good. But then I drank it and I get about halfway through it and I'm like, I'm going to go hit the head. And I went to stand up and it was like one of those, you stand up and you're like, oh. Whoa.
Your face goes numb.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, I was like, whoa, maybe that's a little stronger than I thought. And the waiter walks by, just literally as I stood up, he walked by, just looked over his shoulder, said, "Told you." He just kept walking.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, I mean, you were in my hometown well after I left, probably. But were you there when 44s was up on Marshall Street?
yes.
Okay, I used to manage that bar.
Oh, did you? Well, you remember Romans?
Yep,
Charlie Romans?
one of my good friends from high school. That's his uncle.
Oh, I worked there for Charlie. I worked as a bouncer for him. It was fun.
Remember little Jim?
Oh yeah.
I graduated with him.
Oh, that's awesome. So Dinosaur Barbecue too, huge, obviously.
Oh, please!
So
It's
we're
the only
both from
barbecue I'll go, please.
Syracuse, New York. So,
Oh, okay. So that makes
so yeah, I was down there still when Donovan McNabb was playing at the Orange. So
Yep,
that's
that was
when I
my roommate one summer.
Oh, really?
what? Really?
Dude, yeah, we know way too many people. The
I
same
know,
people. It's
that's
scary
not
me.
good. So stories might cross pollinate. That's not good.
Yeah, probably not.
So kind of on a random thing back to what you were
Yeah,
talking
sorry.
about before with your R&D stuff. So have you had any kind of like happy accidents with your R&D where you're going for a certain goal and
Yeah.
it just happens to have different effects as well?
Yeah, it's one of those things that, when we were designing it, so we use nothing but US source parts. Um, they have to be made in the US, the materials got to be made in the US, so on and so forth.
I was waiting
And
for
and
the
let's face
America.
it,
Yeah,
what's that?
I was waiting for him to scream America.
I know. I
Right.
almost did. I almost did. I was giving
So-
him, you couldn't see it. I was giving him thumbs up over here on the camera. So
So we're going through the accuracy test for our platforms, and in particular that sniper rifle. And I'm thinking, okay, so I've got to have. I'm looking at the mil spec, and let's face it, mil spec is the minimum to keep
Yes.
someone alive.
yeah,
I'm going through that, and I'm like, well, you know what? Let's tweak this, let's tweak that. And I had a barrel. I have our barrel manufacturer out of Florida, and he's a retired SOCOM guy and everything else. And I said, hey, I need to achieve this. He goes, I can do that in my sleep. And I'm thinking, all right, I'll call BS on that. He's producing barrels for the Gov and everything else. And he sent us this pile of barrels, and we put it on Osiris. And once I got it zeroed and I did a load development for it, I put targets on it, or on target at 2,580 yards. And the group out there was a foot, and a foot at 2,500
Yeah.
yards is
That's pretty
it's
darn good.
quarter MOA.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
darn good.
yeah, but that's where it was just like, okay, all the stars are aligning. Everything that
That's just
we
this
tried
barrel.
to,
Yeah, it's just this barrel.
yeah, and then of course we swapped barrels, and we tried another one once we got it broken in, and it just, the consistency of what we do, it kind of blows my mind. We had a guy at SHOT Show 2022. Yeah, it was 22. Roll up to us in one of those, 2-track wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And, of course, Keith's wife Danielle's out there, saying, hey, you want to see a magic show, and pulling the upper apart like I did here a minute ago. And this guy stops, he backs up, and he said, do you know if I had that, I'd still have my legs?
Oh my God! Wow.
So it was like, the one in a million catastrophe that could freaking happen.
Yeah.
Apparently, he and his partner were in a building in Afghanistan, just catching 2 minutes to breathe, and a firefight breaks out while his partner, or whoever he was with, flicks a cigarette butt, and it ends up in his action.
Oh no!
Oh man.
So now, I mean,
Talk about a
take
freaking.
it
I
was
almost said
it was a one in a million shot. So of course his gun's not going to go into battery.
Yeah.
And he's fighting to get the action open, and he can't. Guy throws a grenade through the window, and it blows his legs off.
Oh, that's
He goes, if I wasn't fumble farting around with pins, he said,
Yeah.
I'd still have my legs.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's what I've been brought up around with those is like it takes a while to take it apart. Now, like
Yeah.
for somebody like me who, I'm not in that situation with my personal weapons,
yeah.
probably wouldn't make a huge deal. But like for LE, and then
Yeah.
and having that ability, once you got used to it, I think it would be so much easier. Like watching how quick you took that apart. Like
Yeah,
that's insane.
Right.
That
I mean,
is a time saver.
think about it. I mean, you've done the peer support thing, right?
Yes, sir.
And fight or flight.
Yes.
So when you get into fight or flight and your heart rate's up about 180 and the hitting the fan, your muscle memory and your training goes out the freaking window.
Oh yeah, and your fine motor skills are gone. Pushing
It's
a pin's
toast.
not going to happen.
This is a button, a flip the lever, pull it off, clear a jam, put it back on, and done.
And 90% of that pushing the button and clearing a jam,
Yes.
that is muscle memory for anybody who shoots a lot with
Yes.
that platform. So
Yeah.
that part's easy.
So
to add that
it's,
little part's not hard.
but sitting there, when all hell's breaking loose and there's bombs going on around you, you're taking on fire.
And you're trying to find a pen or something to push that pin out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a nightmare. That is definitely a nightmare.
And our gun is 100% amphibious.
Oh yeah.
really.
Yeah, we have a patented buffer system that I can go down 135 foot in saltwater or freshwater and come out, and it does not hydrolock.
Oh wow.
That's pretty awesome.
See, that's that. Yeah, because I know ours are not.
No.
I sneeze near mine and it hydrolocks.
Right.
Well, it's because we have mil-spec for the government.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's great. It's like the weapon. How they say military grade bed on the F-150. Yeah, it peels like a beer can.
Yep. Exactly right.
I can't tell you how many trucks I've seen have that a whole strip of aluminum peeled off the side of the truck from catching a fence line.
Like those old 20 cans where
Yeah, it's just like they put the key in to open their old MRE.
Yep.
yeah, that's funny.
Oh my gosh. So beyond that, I know you said you work a lot with veteran and law enforcement charity outreach. So
Yes.
give us a little bit of the background on that real quick.
So, and I laugh. I was on another podcast here a little bit ago. You met the two guys, one coup podcast, but I joke with them that John Tigan was my first. So right. So I came down to Texas, and it was the original Warrior Shield Foundation event. It was original Warrior Weekend. It was at Reveille Peak here by us, and that was where I got my feet wet, kind of advocating for veterans and first responders. met the Warrior Shield Foundation, and then it kind of steamrolled from there. Um, wanting to help out, the various veteran and LE organizations. Then I ended up linking up with Corporal Chad, who's this year's recipient, through Matt Unruh, who is now with Staccato. And I started painting guns and doing some crazy one-off stuff for them. Um, and then absolutely fell in love with the family, and ironically meet Tanya. But that's kind of what steamrolled all this. I have a fire that is within me, to do stuff for veterans and first responders, especially when it comes to mental health. Obviously with my affiliation with TGA and so forth, but um, there's a lot of organizations that need our help, and I'm going to say our because I'm part of Warrior Shield.
Yep.
Whether it's, wheelchairs like with Wheelchair for Warriors, or financial assistance, or something, there's always somebody that needs help. And that's what I love doing. 51fifty, we made it our ethos that it doesn't matter if we're building one gun a year or 50,000 a year, we will always give back to veterans and first responders.
That's awesome, guys. Especially with the era of defund the police and
Oh, Jesus, yes.
not the and I hate to say it, unfortunately, we've seen a lack of support for our military the last little bit. So it's awesome that we have these guys working together. And then, of course, we're Legion of St. Michael, so we work with
Right.
Warrior Shield as well. So we're always going to shout them out. They're awesome. The last event, I got to go to the first event that I ever got to go to this last year for Sub-Zero. And what an amazing event. It's where I got to meet you, make a good friendship with you, and, invite you into my little circle because it's not a big one.
No, and I
pretty small
appreciate that
circle.
1,000%. It was one of those things. Chance had made a comment. Hey, we want to get you in the colors, and I didn't think anything about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? And the more outreach than I can have personally, the better.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys are like-minded. You guys are like-minded partners as far as us with Warrior Shield and
Yep.
and what we do. I'm gonna be a part of whatever I can. These organizations, you hit the nail on the head. Whether it's military or LE, mental health is the number one thing.
Yeah.
A lot, it's a crisis, and that was the reason why we went with Corporal Chad O this year for 2025,
Yep.
is because we wanted to get that message out.
Yes.
I joke that. It's not that I joke. It truly is the truth behind everything. Is I look at it as a bullet because, well, I make things go bang. So the Warrior Shield is kind of like my shell case, right?
Yep.
And then whatever organization that we're helping is that gunpowder. The projectile is the message, and then you get Tanya, who's literally my primer, and she
Yep.
sends that fire, and we just get the message out whatever way we can.
Yeah. Well, and messaging's super important. Like all these
Yeah.
different platforms that we can message on are
Absolutely.
definitely are the way to go. So anything that we can do. So here with Bike Mikes and Idiots, we have YouTube, Instagram. So we'll make sure we're
Yep.
pushing all this out. We do shorts, so we'll do some funny shorts. Usually they end up. I don't know how it always happens, but it's a stupid look on my face, like "Ugh." So that's how it usually, and it's just how it auto clips it, and it's like, man,
Right.
it figures that it focuses on my dumb face all the time. But
Well,
Because you're the more animated one, apparently.
oh yeah, I am.
Right.
And I'm
It's because I got to try to keep things in order.
yeah,
This is apparently my job.
it's really weird. At the podcast, he's the one who keeps things in order, and in real life, it's me who keeps things in order. So
Right.
it's kind of weird how it flips over for this thing. I get to let
Sure.
loose a little bit, and he has to be the adult over here. So
what's the fun in that?
yeah,
Very adult. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, adult-ish. I won't even say full adult.
Yeah, adultish is a little bit better. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I don't think it's all that close. So I know you've got the in April you're doing a fundraiser as well for Chad O, correct?
Yeah, so their annual fundraiser is here in Leander. It's at the VFW. April 19th, I believe, is the save the date that I sent out.
Yes.
That's a great event. So what they do is they started out with a bike and Jeep ride from just like some greasy spoon, about
Yep.
5 miles down the road. We come in, and that is where the local community can come hang out at the VFW for the day, get some good food, support the local vendors, and then obviously raise money for Corporal Chad.
Yep.
Tanya will do her normal speech with her and her team. Um, I've got some things I'm going to break out, which I'm not going to reveal
No,
until then.
absolutely
As
not.
far as and those auction items will not be available until Warrior Weekend, or that one item will not be available until Warrior Weekend. But yeah, that's our annual.
Excellent. So
So
I know I am going to be riding out there. I've already taken the time off.
okay, good.
I'm going to be getting back from a cruise like the week before, and then going back on vacation again. So I'll actually be riding out for that one. I'm going to bring I think there's going to be a few Tucson guys that'll be rolling with me on that one.
Oh, nice.
So we'll have a few of us out there for you.
Awesome. I
Go
appreciate
out there,
that.
and it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to a great weekend and just hanging out with some guys and doing some good
Yeah.
for the community.
Yep, me too.
So, what is it that kind of got you into doing all this stuff for law enforcement, first responders, military, all that kind of stuff? What
So, my dad was a
Catalyst.
the
Marine.
There we
catalyst?
go.
There you go.
The
Catalyst.
catalyst.
I brought a word.
Sometimes
The
it's good.
catalyst of the fort. It was truly Warrior Shield Foundation. After I met them at Reveille Peak with Beyond the Battlefield, and I went to the first Florida event, which was for Chris Pirano. Just seeing everybody come together. We had people from all walks of life in that convention center. We had former CBP, we had Blackwater guys, we had all these other agencies that were around. Everybody came together. We broke bread, raised a ton of money, and it went to a good cause.
Yep.
And then getting involved locally is really what that was the turning point. When I met Julie for the first time, that's Chad's mom. We were doing actually a lunch party for my company at R2 Ammo, and I sat and talked with Julie for like 30 minutes, and I'm just like, that's it. You know what? This is the foundation. I will be loyal to Julie and Eric until the day I die. I wear their logo on my jersey every year for ELR.
Yep.
I just want to spread the word. So
That's awesome. I mean, you see a lot of these bigger charities and they're good and that's great. But I think those grassroots ones like we're having now, I think those
Yep.
are awesome because that's hitting a whole different segment that some of these other bigger charities might not get.
and so here's the other thing is you get a bigger charity that we'll do a Warrior Weekend for these folks, and you're thinking, okay, they need this, they need that,
Yep.
and then we're sitting there going, okay, we gave you this, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's why we've kind of stepped up our vetting process, right? So, um, you know, what we try to do, and I'll say try because it's not always possible, is we find 100% nonprofit charities like Corporal Chad
Yep.
that there's not a dime that goes back into anybody's pocket.
Yeah. No administrative charges.
Correct.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what we want to do as a foundation. But even with 51fifty, Randy Couture, he does not put a dime. Anything he raises goes straight to a veteran.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's why we've been drawn to Randy for so many years, is because he this is what he does.
Yeah. Well, and then you get like with Warrior Shield, they're so good at selecting great charities are doing good things for our veterans and our law enforcement and first responders. They do a very good job with it, and that's part of like I'm glad that we're affiliated with them now with the Legion of St. Michael.
I am too.
We get to be part of that.
I said to Chance, it was I think it was at our after action brief. It was after you guys they changed colors
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. I told him that right there is a game changer for 2025 and beyond. And the reason being is the old club, it was small, it was kind of localized, etc. But the Legion is international.
Yes.
Yep.
So our outreach now, and I say our because I'm now a part of Legion.
Yes, you are.
It's international.
Yes.
Which is going to be huge.
Yeah, and I would like to, and this is something I'm going to talk with our international branch. I would like to work with our Italian chapter
Yep.
and assist, maybe do a combined fundraiser for the Italian army and our U.S. military members who are abroad there. I would love to do
No, I
something
agree.
where we could do a combined situation and make it really big. So that's something we're pushing. We're in the works. It's going to take some time to develop, obviously.
Sure.
Because, you're dealing with different governments and different rules for charitable contributions, and so there's a lot to be involved there that we got to unpack as we're moving forward with it. But that's kind of our idea behind it. Is these are our allies.
Yep.
We
they
should
are.
be working with them, and they've assisted us. They've worked with us. They've made things, good for our soldiers over there. And I've got friends who actually just got back from Italy on a deployment, and they're like, it was amazing. Like, we were taken so well care of over there that,
Yeah.
and that's important. That's important that our people on deployment are being taken care of and being treated with respect and dignity, because they all deserve it.
Back in March, I had to go do an assignment over in a really area, and you hit the nail on the head. From your experience, I know from my teaching that what to look for. But when you start seeing that stuff more and more, you pull the dude aside, you pull the girl aside, and you're like, okay, here's what you're experiencing. This is what's going to happen. Da 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 da, and you get them the help they need.
Yes.
That's what, even some of the training schools that I've gone to and conducted, I'll see guys that just have that look.
Oh yeah,
And it's like,
it is
you
so
pull,
obvious. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
to those of us that know, it's obvious.
Yeah.
yeah. And then we pull them aside and we're like, okay, bro, what you're feeling is normal. Here's your options.
Yeah. Well, and then I think, like you said, is when we normalize what they're going through.
Yep.
You see that weight lift almost immediately. Like, oh, other people
Yep.
have felt this. Yeah, you're not alone, man. We've all felt
No,
it.
you educate, you normalize, and you say, okay, what you're experiencing is normal.
Yeah.
I've been through it. I went through it, this past winter. You get all three, stress responses hitting you at once, then you implode. Sorry, I hit the cuss meter again.
You've hit it many
But
times.
Oh, that's okay. We're good. See, the good thing is he does the editing, so I don't have to deal with the.
all right, yeah, we're good.
So yeah, just add a
But no,
role for him.
you hit the trifecta of the emotional stress response, then you implode.
Yeah.
Yep.
I knew what I was experiencing was normal. I wasn't proud of it, but I was normal.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that's where, with you joining the club, now you've got a whole bunch of brothers all over the U.S. that you can reach out to and say, hey, I'm having a hard time. Okay, hey, let's chat. Let's jump on a video and chat for a minute and let's talk.
Yep, exactly.
And that's a good thing. Like, that's having that outlet for us. That's we preach
network.
a lot of having a network and having a group of people that you can talk to. About how important that is to any military, law enforcement, and honestly anybody in the real world. Everybody really goes through stuff,
dude. I see it all the time. I've got close friends going through some stuff, and I go back to my training, and hey, this is normal. What you're experiencing is normal. Let's try to do this. If you can't get through it here's options for you. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and that's like, we've mentioned Tanya a couple of times. Like, she was a shining light for me.
Absolutely.
Because I always had gone through, gosh, I want to say I had 15 years in before I even met her. And that's when I was like, I really need to do this because I'm doing it anyway. I talk to everybody anyway about what they're going through.
Yeah.
Now I can do it and back it up with some training. And it's not just me going, I see you having an issue. I don't know what to tell you, but you have an issue.
Right. So, I joke about that. But, when I first met Tanya, I met her at a Corporal Chad event.
Yeah.
And, when I first got to know, it was love at first fight. But, when I first got to know her, I realized I was living life all friggin' wrong for 48 years.
Yep.
Yeah. I was doing those drive-by check-ins.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, something ain't right. And where it hit me hard was SHOT Show 2023. There was an OIS at a local department here. And, they happen all the time. But this dude was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And now he's the recipient of peer support. And I was like, there it is. Now I know exactly what's supposed to happen.
Yep. Yeah, and it does tie it together, and that's we've always talked about how military and first responders are such a small community. Like, we have a lot of military members, but when you think about general population versus military and law enforcement population, we're small.
Yeah.
We're very small. We're isolated. Some because of OPSEC,
Yeah.
obviously. Some of it because of what we do and the fact that we don't want to expose our families to what we see and do.
Yeah.
No.
Nobody likes to talk about the car accident where they had,
No.
the little kid got killed in the back seat because they weren't in their seat right. Nobody wants to talk
Right.
to their family about that.
Nope.
We compartmentalize it, and that's where these programs, peer support, having a good network of people to talk to, help because you're allowed
Yeah.
to talk to somebody who's seen the same thing, and have that confidentiality there. That hey, what you're feeling, I'm not going to talk to anybody else about it. This is between me and you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where that stigma comes in, right? Because the old school mentality. You've done this for so many years
Yeah.
that you suck it up, you lock that down, and you do your job. But there comes a point where you're gonna need help.
Well, yeah, you can't.
It might
You
be,
can't close
it
the
might
lid
not be
anymore.
something job related. It's just something that's weighing on your mind. I mean, you remember. I laughed and I actually told Sarge this from Sub Zero that when he read that quote from Act of Valor at this year's event, Rourke Denver's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And I sat through so many of his speeches when I went to Syracuse and everything else. But he talks about this thing, and I actually use it when I was teaching peer support. Talks about balance. If you're worried about your finances, there's something wrong with your marriage, or the kids are pissing you off, or whatever, you don't have that balance. So now you become a liability to your team.
Yep.
And if you don't get that locked down, bad things can happen. You're focused on one thing and you're not
Yep.
focused on mission at hand.
Yep. And the box gets only so full before you can't
Yes,
close the lid.
exactly.
And
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
It gets so full, and the ruck gets so full that you've got to empty it. And when you empty it, it's not going to be pretty.
Oh no, and it usually comes out bad when it does.
Yep.
Because we're
Yep.
not, we're alphas. None of us are really good at doing things that well.
No, we don't do things very, very well. We're dudes.
Yeah.
We and it's a shame, and that's what I love about the whole smash this, smash that.
Yeah.
But we're dudes.
Yes.
Your dad brought you up the same way mine did. That you don't talk about, and you just suck it up, rub some dirt in it, and go about your business.
Show no weakness.
Right. Show no weakness. It's crap.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's bit me in the ass one major time, and then a couple other times throughout my life cycle. But yeah, we need to stop that.
Yeah. Well, and we need to create that culture of normalcy that getting help is okay.
Yeah.
And I want to say, at least in our agency, it's moving in that direction. We're not
Yeah, it
we're
is.
not there yet, but it does move more in that direction. So, like where I'm at, we currently have a peer support member that's all
Yep.
they do.
Okay, so they're designated to the team.
They're designated to the team. So we have members throughout the shifts, but this one person's there Monday through Friday, deals with command staff. You have a problem, you give them a heads up. Hey, this is what's going on. This dude needs help. I'm going to take him here. Let command staff know, and he deals with the command staff. We do what we have to do, and he deals with all the administrative stuff, which is great because it's like I don't have to worry about it. I can focus on my contact. He can focus on the BS of the administrative issues.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be, right? When you're in a peer support role, that's why. There again, you've been through the class.
Yeah.
You try to do it off site.
Yes.
Not necessarily at the bar, but at some other, whether it's their house or a Starbucks, heaven forbid, something like that. That you have that ability to focus one on one.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, and that's so important. And we have, like, I'm trying to get Ubi over here to join, and
Yeah,
he's been on the fence for it for a while, and I think I'm kind of turning him that direction eventually. So we're getting there.
What's cool though is in this industry, I deal with contractors, I deal with military, law enforcement, whatever. But what's so cool is this brotherhood that has all of a sudden been formed, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, and it is definitely unique for sure. It's definitely a unique thing that we have going on.
Well,
Yeah.
So the thing about it, and I've thought about it before Eric ever brought it up to me about trying to do peer support and stuff, and I really have been on the fence about it. And the big thing for me is just the red tape that comes with having that official title.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the crappy part about it is there's so much red tape that comes with an official title when you're doing this kind of stuff. Whereas if you're just that kind of person that should be peer support or should be in that field, you don't have to walk that fine line, right?
Yeah.
Well,
You
all
can just
right.
kind
So here's a prime example that OIS I was talking about from 23. That individual, I just saw him. He stopped me at the gas station by my apartment, and he said that he has such a good experience with peer support that now he wants to join it.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, our red tape isn't terrible, but
No.
the one thing that being certified as somebody in peer support is we have a confidentiality clause
Yeah.
Yep.
that has withstood court.
Yeah.
It's
And
been
that's-
challenged in court, and it got, and the people who were trying to make the person talk, who didn't want to talk, said, "I'm not doing it." And our confidentiality clause held up in court. Whereas they could compel you as somebody who just talked to them.
That is
they
true.
can compel you in court. So that's the other. That's one of the biggest benefits of our program that we
Yep.
have with our agency is that confidentiality clause.
that
Yeah,
that is a big plus.
dude, confidentiality is the make or break for any peer support team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you break that mantra, and you're toast.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's one of the things because I'm a supervisor, people are like, "Well, yeah, but you're a supervisor." And I'm like, "Yeah, and I've told my bosses to f off before."
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Eric
got
made the list. All right, we're
I made
good
the
now.
list today, so we're good. Everybody's good.
You've made the list like 3 times already
Have
today,
I?
at least. At least.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. But I've actually told my guy in charge, "F off, I'm not telling you anything.
Yep.
This was a confidential conversation. You can kiss my ass."
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, let's go talk to the chief about it." And he said, "No, we're good. We're good." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." And
Yep.
which is probably yet one of the other reasons I haven't promoted, but because I'm willing to do that. And I don't mince language with those guys. I don't care.
No, you can't. You can't, dude.
No.
If you want to be successful in helping people,
Yep. And
yeah, there's no point.
I think it was good because he understood my honor of honoring that confidentiality, that I will not break it. It does not matter. I don't care.
Right.
I'm not going to break it.
Yep.
So
So, just to kind of hit on a thing where this is going to be airing right after the holidays.
yes.
So
Yeah.
we know that holidays can be tough for people.
Well, it might have gone before the holidays, but we've ruined the editing by dropping some bombs. The only one who hasn't, I feel bad because the only one who hasn't done one is Ubi, and he's not part of the club right now. So
I'll get there once we get start getting into these next little things. I'm sure.
if you don't do one soon, I don't know if we can trust you.
Right.
If you were to see my counter, I think I'm still in single digits.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, loser.
Trying to be responsible.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to air after holidays. So we know that the holidays are a tough time for people. So
Yep.
hopefully this kind of helps out, give some good resources for people and everything like that. Because that's kind of what we started for. We wanted to be able to be there for people because that's really just what we do. We just kind of hang out. We hang out with people and do whatever. So
Right.
that was kind of our mantra to begin with. At least we could hang out with people. I sure did. And
board, you loser.
but
No.
that's kind of the thing is a lot of people don't have this outlet. This is an outlet for us. But a lot of people don't have that outlet to be able to hang out
Right.
with somebody and shoot the like guys do. Honestly,
Oop, there's two.
there's 2.
Next.
I'm already editing a lot on this one. So,
Right.
but
No, you're right though. I mean, the holidays are rough.
Yeah.
If not necessarily the holidays, it might be a certain time of year where everybody gets all jacked up, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a guy that works with us, retired team guy. every year in September, he goes into freaking isolation mode.
Yeah.
And we just know now, um, he's scared to get EMDR. He's scared to do any kind of, nootropics or what have you. Um, but it's just now's the time where we just kind of monitor and make sure he's good. Um,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I mean, and this is something that I don't know. I guess Eric and I have talked about it several times. I have no problem, and I talked about it with Bob also. Is anybody in Texas that needs a little break and they just want a little bro time? You know, come down to Austin. You get your butts here. We'll go to a range. There's several around here, and I'll get them on the mat.
See, that's really cool stuff
Yeah.
like that. I think the big thing too, especially with the holidays, everyone is kind of with family and everything, and I think that's what
Yep.
makes it hard with the holidays.
Well, and
Yep.
especially if your family isn't from
Where
our
you're at.
similar background, because they don't
yeah, that
like
too.
they don't understand. So like even my family, I've
Right.
done this for 25 years, is like,
Yeah.
how's everything down there? I'm like, it's interesting.
Why? And you know what though? It's the line of work that you're in. You don't want to tell your family. It's not that you don't want to. You feel that their resilience and their mental wherewithal can't handle the truth.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the worst thing about well, you've been through a training, but you don't get into bro mode when you start doing your pure sport contact. But by the same token, you kind of need that,
Yeah, you work your way into it. Like,
right?
you when
You
you're
know,
active, you're actively listening to them. You're getting their thing, and then all of a sudden,
yes,
and it's happened probably 85+% of my contacts. They start talking about something that I've experienced,
yep,
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I've been through similar circumstances, and they're hard.
yep.
And I
Oh
have
no,
a hard time with
absolutely.
it. And they're like, you've gone through this too? I'm like, well,
Yeah.
not your exact situation, but something similar enough that, us speaking together has
empathize?
brought it into the forefront again for me.
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
empathize or sympathize? Which one's the one where you
Empathize.
empathize, right?
Yes.
So a lot of
Yeah.
people can't empathize with.
Yeah,
And that's where.
it's a learned
Yeah,
skill. It's a learned skill. For
it's
sure.
a difference between empathy and sympathy, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it doesn't matter. I mean, I've had guys that are retired contractors. I start noticing signs and just kind of, that active listening and listening to this, listening to that, and then they end up getting help and they're great. But yeah, it's this time of year sucks for a lot of people.
Yeah.
If your family's gone or heaven forbid, you're the last man standing. It's kind of difficult. Here I am, living in Austin, and my family's in Central New York,
Yeah.
or what's remaining of it anyway. So this holiday, it is what it is. But there's some people that don't have anybody, so I encourage people to just reach out and just offer them a seat at your table.
Yep. And that's something I used to do when I was at one of my older stations, before we had kids. We'd have our whole group of friends came over. So like Thanksgiving dinner, we'd have 40 people at the house. And it was
Yep.
everybody who didn't have family with them. And it's tapered off a little bit with the kids. I still have some people we do stuff with, but at work we throw a big shindig. We're having a big barbecue Christmas Eve, just to get everybody together. And hey, thanks for being here. We understand that you're away from your families, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing with military, who are out deployed during the holidays. LEs who are and first responders who are working for the holidays, like they don't
Yep.
have that time with their families that everybody else
Nope.
takes
It's
for
a-
granted. They really do.
Oh yeah.
Like your
Oh, yeah.
everyday person takes for granted that we miss birthdays, anniversaries,
the
Yep.
simple things.
births.
Oh yeah.
Like
I-
how
Yeah,
many
yeah.
guys have missed the birth of their child?
yeah. I've done it.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Well,
I
it's 'cause
mean,
you don't know
I have
who the
several
mom was.
friends that I have several, and I call them friends because they become like brothers. But you hit the nail on the head. It's like, all right, so you got out of cutting the umbilical cord, you jerk.
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, I mean, I know several guys, growing up through this industry that are like, yep, I missed, little Susie's birthday. I missed my anniversary. I missed
Yep.
this.
Yep.
Well, and it's just
You
the
know what?
simple
It
thing
makes
of
it tough.
even just the weekends.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
most
even-
people,
Oh my God, what weekends?
Yeah, exactly.
People don't realize that it's like people have to work on the weekend. Some people live in that fantasy that is Monday through Friday, and that's the work week.
Oh, you can't tell how many people. Oh, you're off for Christmas? No.
No.
No,
No,
no.
No, I'm not.
I'm working at the time.
So
they'd
like
normally
what I
be.
did this year, my kids are older. They're 18 and 15. So we have 3 of the supervisors at work who have young kids. So I volunteered to work, let them, hey guys, you take my Christmas. One of you take my Christmas because I don't need it. My kids are old enough. I can come home after work and
Yeah.
get it taken care of. And
And they're
go
probably
spend-
still asleep.
yeah. Oh yeah. They sleep in late. I'll get home and they'll be wiped. I'll have to go in and wake them up. Like, hey guys, we got to get this done because I got to go to sleep for work.
Yeah, I
tonight.
gotta go back to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was at Winchester, we worked basically this. I call it the cop schedule. It was the what was it 24 on, 2 days off, then 36 on,
Oh,
and I love that schedule. Absolutely adored that schedule because I'm a
yeah.
deer hunter and I could hunt on my long
Well,
weekends. But
that's true.
my ex-wife was not a big fan of it. But when I started working that schedule, it was like I said, my stepdaughters were of that age
Yeah.
where they just didn't sleep till noon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Thanksgiving dinner, if I was on that weekend, it was just like, okay, just save me a plate. I'll be home when I get done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the good thing about them sleeping till noon is you can go in and get a hunt done before they're even awake.
Right.
Yeah.
Go and get get your deer sacked up and you're good.
Yep.
All right, so do you want to do this? We can do a quick little break. That way, if
You gotta
need to hit
pee,
the
don't
head-
you?
No, actually, I don't. Luckily, I don't. But that way, if you want to refill your drink, hit the head, do anything like that, we can.
Yeah, I don't know if you could hear our drinks getting refilled through the mic.
Yeah, that's where I'm heading as soon as you hit the pause button.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
what
so
we'll do
we'll
is
do-
we'll
we'll
take
do
a
that
quick
real
5-minute pause. We'll put on some music.
All right.
We want to thank one of our founding sponsors who helped make all this possible. The Legion of St. Michael Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club International is a 501c3 charitable organization that focuses on first responder and military families in need.
The Legion of St. Michael was founded in 2014 in Chicago, Illinois, in memory of fallen officers. If you are interested in helping to support the Legion of St. Michael in their endeavors to assist first responders and military families, please reach out to a local chapter or contact the Idiots for a link for donations. All right, guys, we're back from a little break. Sponsor spot.
Yep, sponsor spot.
Sponsor spot. All right, back with our guest.
That reminds me, I need to get you a 51fifty logo so you can put us on there as a sponsor.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
We'll get you. We can make that happen for sure.
Absolutely. So, you were saying there's a couple things you wanted to bring up before we start going into the bro topics, before we start going into the random things we talk about.
Yeah, so let's talk about Warrior Shield Warrior Weekend 2025.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this year, it's something near and dear to my heart because it's literally three firsts all coming into one big happy family, right? So this year we have elected and voted that Corporal Chad Olichlager Foundation for PTSD will be our 2025 recipient.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Corporal Chad is an Austin-based charity that provides assistance for mental health treatment for veterans and first responders. They use the amazing, the beautiful, the brilliant warrior healer herself, Tanya Glenn, for treatment of said issues. So that it kind of brings a lot of firsts in there for me. Warrior Shield was my first real touch on advocating for first responders and veterans. Corporal Chad was the one that I became, truly enthralled in after meeting his parents. Don't get me wrong, his dad Eric's kind of a pain in the ass, and he's smart ass, but I love him to death.
I
So
think
yeah,
that
and then
might be
obviously,
something
yeah.
to do with the name Eric because I'm
Most
about the
likely,
same.
yeah.
Well, dude, wait until you meet him.
Yeah.
So it's like Ric Flair meets. Dude, it's hysterical.
As soon as
So
you
he'll
said
show
Ric
up to
Flair, it was
he'll
funny
show
enough
up to
we
a
got
long
it.
range match because they've started displaying it, King of 1 Mile and,
Yeah.
and some of these other matches in Texas. And he shows up with this long flowing white hair, and it's just like, oh, sweet Jesus! But he wins over everybody that's there, right? So, to give it a little history on Corporal Chad,
Yeah,
which
let's-
you guys will hear at the event, but for your listeners, in 2020 or 2008, USMC Corporal Chad Olichlager lost his fight with PTSD. he had asked for help multiple times, had been basically ridiculed by his superiors. He was even ordered to another deployment after asking for help. When he did get help, it was basically in the form of medications and basically turning him into a zombie. And then he ended up losing his life because of it. So Corporal Chad was founded by his parents, Julie and Eric, who are dear friends. They are family to me. So what they are doing is raising awareness not only for PTSD, but also the alternate treatments such as EMDR and ART therapies, and trying to change the culture.
Good.
So they will be our recipients for 2025. We are looking for this to be our biggest event yet. I've already got sponsors reaching out to us as far as buying tables and displaying and so on and so forth. We are going to do a huge range experience provided by our company, 51fifty. We'll supply the rifles. Black Sheep Ammo is going to supply all the 5.56 ammo. And doing that event will be none other than the Benghazi heroes, John Tig Tigan and David Boone Benton. So if you watch 13 Hour, you've seen these guys. Now, don't ask about the guys that portrayed them, because you have Tig, who has this big dork, and then you got Grizzly Adams portraying Boone, and then you get Tonto, who gets the Greek Adonis, which I still don't understand. But because he's the skinniest and tiniest dude out of
Yeah.
all of them.
Well, I got to meet Tig at the last event. What
Yeah.
a cool, down to earth guy. Just an awesome
Dude,
guy.
so I joked that we kind of adopted Tig. We found him on the side of the road eating a box of crayons. But John has become such a close friend of mine that I spent a week with him in Vegas filming Surviving Man. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bourbon and a lot of IPAs drank, but John has transformed. When I saw him years later after first meeting him at SHOT 2023, it was to the point where Tanya's like, I need him. But he found us happy. His wife Priscilla is an angel. And he also went through ART therapy, which is absolutely just, it's epic. But so Tig will be in there doing the CQB. Boone will be with him doing that. Then we're going to do a long range challenge. I'm not certain how far I can get everybody out based on the venue, but it'll be in conjunction with the Hero Ride. So we will do a ride from the Rosen Center to the range. I will be with everybody. Tanya and I are inviting some heroes. They'll be driving my truck. Already know who's going to drive because I trust him. But we'll drive out there, spend the day at the range, and then come back for an amazing gala. Saturday or Friday night's gonna be the concert with Sean Holcomb again, Ryan Weaver, and Bo Weiss. Saturday night, the day events will be, whoever wants to attend. I hope we get a ton of people, and I hope I can give out a bunch of these challenge coins for
There you go. Nice.
hitting 1,000 yards or more. And then we come back and we'll do the amazing gala with the dinner and the live and silent auction items. Tanya is going to speak this year, and I told Chance I wanted to introduce her, but I'm going to warn you guys ahead of time. I will get choked up either at the introduction, or I will get choked up talking, introducing her, just because, I just get emotionally involved when it comes to this subject and PTSD and so forth. We're hoping to exceed all expectations, not only of Corporal Chad, but of everybody. Two guys, one coop podcast will be there, obviously doing live feeds and so forth. But it's gonna be an amazing event. I mean, you guys were there last year.
Yeah.
Last year is not gonna even hold a candle to what we got planned for this year.
Awesome. Like that. I'm kind of geeking out. I want to do the shoot. So I need one of those chips because for our agency, I actually just outshot one of our firearms guys with a perfect score on our pistol qual.
So I gotta tell you a funny story. I'm driving out to Vegas to film Surviving Man, and I've got a truck bed full of munitions. I mean, I think I had 25 pounds of 338 Lapua ammo.
Oh jeez.
I had Osiris. I had two of my other rifles with me, plus obviously my EDCs. Is that I'm coming through Arizona and New Mexico. I go through that checkpoint. So
Oh
it's at
boy, here we
freaking
go.
midnight, bro. And I come in and I'm like,
You got anything
all
in your
right, this
truck?
is either going to get really ugly or it's going to get really funny in a big
Yeah.
hurry.
Yeah.
So, of course, the guy's like, he's like, okay, he says, are you a citizen? I'm like, oh, yes, sir. I said, I got Texas plates. And he says, that doesn't mean anything. I said, tell you what. I said, here's the deal. I hand him a bunch of patches and a couple of these coins.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, that's freaking awesome. I said, well, you got to earn them now.
Yeah.
And he laughed and brushed it off, but it
Yeah.
was fun.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's funny. That's yeah, I've heard that about those checkpoints.
Yeah.
You can tell he was just pissed off that I was driving through at midnight, but
Oh yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I can just
You
imagine.
really messed up his sleep.
So that kind of takes me into a good little topic here. So shooting for relaxation. Most people think,
Yes.
I mean, realistically, it is kind of a stressful thing when you're shooting. It just hits that central nervous system, all that stuff, and it kind of gets that.
Yep.
But for a lot of people shooting for relaxation, that's
Yep.
kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
And so you hit the nail on the head, right? So I'll give you an example. When we did Surviving Man, I set up, well, Tig and I set up one of the stages. I wanted their heart rate up to that 180 mark because I wanted to simulate fight or flight.
Yep.
These cats, so we show up on set and I still remember it. Tig says, what in the hell are they doing? Because they were doing, well, run here and we're going to film you here and it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
He says, nobody's in plate carriers. And I said, that's a valid point, John. I said, we'll talk to the producers and so forth.
Yep.
So when he did the stage brief for the first evolution, and he said, oh, by the way, you're going to be in plate carriers. I thought all but two I thought they were going to like just drop out at this point. So one is a triathlete. And so, Laney Oakley on social media, the one that does all those trick shots with the pistol and
Yeah.
stands on her head and all that. She's one of them. So we set Nate Schmidt, he's by far, he's like my son that I never had. His dad's a former contractor, and I fell in love with his entire family. But he was our pace setter, and little Nate, I call him Little Nate because he's 18. He goes out and he's running this stage of fire. So it's close quarters battle through the first part. So of course you're getting your heart rate up.
Yeah.
They had to do a half a mile run. They get to TIG and he does, and you guys have gone through a training, that stress test.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they get done with that, have to do a 150-yard sprint back to where I'm at for the long range, and they had to engage two targets, one at 12:20 and one at a mile. And we had given all of them instruction, right? And I told, and when we were having a pre-production meeting, I told the producers, I said, I want these competitors you think are all-stars to hurt when I'm done. And he's like, oh no, these are the top physical athletes and so on and so forth. So little Nate, who's just a machine, he sets the pace and everyone's like, oh crap. And he could not hit, I think he made impact at 12:20, but he could not hit a mile because his heart rate was so far up, he could barely remember the instructions. so Lanny Barnes gets up. You're thinking Olympiad. She's running through it. I had Shane Smith, who's one of the best wind callers in ELR, with us, and he's like, "Okay, shooter, did you dial for your wind or your elevation?" And she's like, "Yep." And he says, "All right, send when ready." And I'm on backup spotter, and she is like 40 MOA in front of the target, and it was like, "Shooter, are you ready? Are you sure you dialed up for such and such?" Dude, she burned all 10 rounds in 4 minutes. So it just, yeah, it's crazy that you get, I don't know, I love shooting, three guns a little bit too much high stress for me. That's why I got into extreme long range, because that is truly, it's forcing me to slow my brain down
Yep.
Yeah.
and focus on one thing.
Well, it's like
life is,
it's like an ADD medication. It's a
Yeah. It's-
slow you
Dude,
down,
you have
make
to.
you
I was
think.
ADHD. I am ADHD, and I was medicated for a number of years. And then got into extreme long range, and you would not believe, all the stress with work and personal and this, that, and the other that I've gone through in the last year and a half, a year. It's like, okay, I lay down on the mat, I have my load development, and it's just focus on breathing and one thing at a time.
Yep.
Yep.
Forced
Yep.
focus.
So, yes, force focus. That's exactly right.
So
That's
on that whole thing of like shooting for relaxation.
oh yeah, I love
So
it.
we're totally different than what you're doing. This
Yeah.
long range stuff. We're talking about
Yeah,
what
we're
we
short,
go,
fast. Like it's
just
hey, 5 rounds now.
yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I
5
mean,
rounds,
it's
center
called
mass,
a
5
fire.
rounds,
All
center
right,
mass.
threat, 5 rounds, and
Yeah.
then you go about your thing. But,
Yeah.
you get on, and I shoot rimfire 99% of the time. Because, well, one, because it's cheap and
Yeah.
I'm, a sales rep and whatever. But, when I do shooting schools, I get people on for one solid day on just nothing but rimfire.
Well, it gets
And you
building those
be
good
amazed that
habits.
you get. I had one woman who she was an RO with for 3 gun for a number of years, and that's how I know her. Veteran, she went through Marine Corps shooting school, the whole 9 yards. And when I put her on rimfire, she was making impacts at 650 yards with a 22 long rifle.
Oh
Wow.
wow,
But
that's pretty impressive.
it's all about getting. And she was anxious as hell, dude. I could have put a pound of Xanax in her coffee, and she would not have calmed down. And then all of a sudden, you get her on trigger, and she's just pink, breathing. Everything slows down. You can actually watch her whole demeanor just
Yeah, the body
Yeah.
and drop.
relaxes and then
Yep.
yeah.
So I was saying on that topic, it's kind of for us. Well, at least for me, I can't really speak for you, but shooting for relaxation, going out, just going to go hit the range, going somewhere to go shoot, and just kind of getting out there. It does hit. It's a CNS response because you're shooting guns, but it is kind of relaxing.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
especially like just after the fact, you're just like, oh, that felt good. You
Yep.
get that kind of out of your system.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm a huge proponent of shooting steel because
Yeah,
I love the pink.
absolutely.
I love the pink. I get that
Yep.
auditory. You did it.
So,
It's like, Mommy
and
loves
I
me.
talked about this, and I talked about this when I was teaching peer support, is that San Antonio SWAT is by far the most resilient team from a
Oh
local
yeah,
perspective, not NFL.
yeah.
But so when they have a bad call out, and I joke about this, I went down to do a demo with them one time, and Sal Hernandez is literally one of my best friends, and we'd be in the middle of a demo. He's like, "Yeah, we got a call out," and they go off. But
And
you know,
they had a rough go. They had a very
they
rough go.
generally do in that area, and I'll tell a funny story in a minute about that. But um, they they have it right. So when they get back from a tough call out, do you know that they determine the level of intensity of their workout or training, whether it's firearms or otherwise, based on the severity of the call?
Oh wow.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
So they are a well-oiled machine because of this. So, it doesn't matter what agency you work for, if that is your outlet, whether it's pinging steel at 200 yards
Yep.
or whatever gets your parasympathetic nervous system down to the point where you come out of fight or flight and everything starts processing again, do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. For me, that
Shooting
positive
still.
reinforcement of hitting steel
Yes.
for me is just it's just immediate. It's like boom, blink, ha,
Mhm.
got it.
You're
Yep.
like a little kid.
I took and that's funny. And you mentioned ADD and all that stuff. I took a young lion out here probably a month or so ago. Um, Mom was having trouble trying to control him and this, that, and the other. And I put him on a 22 long rifle that I built. It's actually one of my training guns. And same range I was posting stuff from yesterday. I put him on at 200 yards, and he was hitting a 4x4 inch target at 200 yards with a 22.
That's
And
pretty awesome.
you could see his brain slow down with every trigger squeeze.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
do you ever do that like just for yourself? Just go out to hit the range and just to shoot, just
three,
to kind of like I need to get out and kind
3
of
days a
relax.
week.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
okay.
It,
So you
it's
get your
it's one of
you get it
those
in 3
things
days.
that the gym is. That's how I start my day. But if because I'm remote. If I'm not traveling somewhere and I start my stress level starts to get up, I will go, and generally I'm not running ARs or anything crazy. I will, just to kind of keep sharp on that portion of my training, but I will lay down on a mat at 100 yards, 200 yards, 1,000 yards, whatever, and work through the process, because when you start focusing on anything else then that's what's bothering you,
Yeah.
generally you get a lot of clarity.
Yeah. Well, and
Makes sense.
that clarity, like you said, helps you deal with what else is going on in your life. It gives you that,
Right.
okay, hey, this isn't that bad, or hey, you know what? Thinking about this, I can attack it from this angle.
Right. No. So think about it. You misplace your keys for the truck,
Yeah.
and you're scrambling around the house, pissing your wife off. The kids think you're nuts.
Yeah.
The second you slow down and you start thinking about something else, the either you realize, oh, I put them here,
Yep.
or if it's something deeper. And this is something I realized back in February, well, basically February through April, is that when I focus on things that I know, and that is breathing, slow down, work a process, trigger squeeze, etc. I realized a lot of things that may have been muddied, and they all come into gin clear water.
Yeah.
So it kind of works as almost a meditation.
Your mic's off.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh,
That's
there we go.
exactly what it is.
Huh. So yeah, it works like almost as a meditation. Sorry,
Yeah.
I had my mic off apparently, but yeah, it kind of gets you that meditation
Yep.
level, focusing on
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
And I think for people like us, it's a thing that I couldn't just sit in a room and meditate. There's
Oh,
no
Oh
way.
hell no!
No.
There's just
These
no
people
way.
that do flipping yoga, forget it.
Yeah. As soon
yeah.
as I sit
But
down and try that, like, breathe, calm your mind. My mind's like, oh, I could do this, 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 and this, and this, and I go 5,000 different directions. It's like when I sleep. Like
yep.
I have that freaking guy who sings that like in my head the whole time I'm trying to sleep. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
So like that goes on. As soon as I shut my eyes to go to bed, all of a sudden that music starts playing. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, would you stop? I just want to sleep.
No, dude, you need something that you can get back to zero.
Yeah.
I think it was the line in Wedding Crashers where you said, "You know what? I'm gonna get back to neutral," and so on and so forth. That's what shooting does for me.
Yeah.
And I lost sight of that tail end of last year, and then because it's usually the off season. But as soon as I got back on the trigger, man, it was like, oh damn, yep, oh wait, this makes sense now.
Yeah.
Only
Yep.
bad part about it is that ammo's so expensive
Yeah.
still.
Oh sweet Jesus, yes it is.
Yeah.
Still. So
Well, it's made out of gold, not brass.
Yeah, that's why I shoot rimfire a lot.
Well, I remember she was like 5-6 years ago where you couldn't even find 22 rounds.
oh no, that was
Oh my god!
Was it
So
that?
I ended
Was it
up
even
buying a
longer than
brick
that?
of
I don't know.
Wakula
it was
ammo
less than
for
that.
my 22 training rifle, and I wanted to cry when I bought it because, when we were kids, we would run into a Dick's Sporting
Oh,
Goods or someplace like
$2
that.
for 1,000 rounds.
Right,
Yeah.
$2 for a brick of Remington, and you shoot for 14 weeks. Now it's nothing.
Well, now you have to, you poke your finger, you give them the blood thing, guarantee your first child through DNA gets taken
Yeah.
for the brick of ammo.
yeah, it's insane. So
Yeah.
so that probably unfeasible for a lot of people, realistically.
It is, but
Well, archery. People get
Yes.
into archery because it's the same similar breathe and hold it
Yeah.
the right way, and when you
Right.
screw up, you get to string up your forearm like I've done because my forearms are
definitely.
Uh-huh.
weird
I had the
Popeye forearms.
The forearms.
See, before moving down here, I shot the IBO tournament sector, and that's actually how I got my start in the shooting sports
Oh,
industry.
okay.
But yeah, I'm going to get back into, I made that commitment, here within the last week or so that I'm going to do the total archery challenge.
Sweet. So you already have
that's going
all
to be
your
fun.
archery gear and everything. You still got it?
Yeah. Thanks to my ex-wife, she sold off all my good stuff.
Oh well,
But
we have
yeah,
one of our members
that was
here.
bad.
One of our members in the club here used to be a PSE factory shooter, so he might
really?
have some connections to get you some PSE stuff.
Well,
So I can get you a hold. I can get you a hold
through
of Ringo.
through my affiliation with Under Armour.
Oh, there you go.
I've got connection to Bowtech.
Hey, we're both wearing Under Armour
we're wearing
shirts.
Under Armour today.
Who knew?
So I met them through the tactical games, and it was crazy that Chris Cook, who I did not know, he and I became instant friends. He loves his bourbon.
That's a good man right there.
Bourbon.
Oh, dude, I brought him when we were at Tactical Games Nationals this year. I say half, 3/4 of a bottle of Angel's Envy.
Oh,
And he
so
was
the first fourth was gone magically.
yeah, that was Warrior Weekend 2026 or
Oh, okay.
2024.
Oh, okay. That's my. I love Angel's Envy.
Angel's Envy sauce.
So,
Dude,
the craziest thing in my truck in the back seat, there's a little like door that opens on each one of the back seats, and it will fit a bottle of Angel's Envy perfectly. So we call it my hidden stash. So my truck always has Angel's Envy in it.
Right.
Wonder why you know this.
Well, now you do. But no, I mean, when I first discovered Angels, Tanya and I were, I think, in Richardson, and the bartender, she stays so many places, the bartenders know her. And he's like,
Wait,
he
why
goes,
do the
"Hey,
bartenders know her?
because that's where she eats her dinner."
She
But
has
yeah, no,
liquid
he's
to-
like,
yeah.
he says,
Liquid
he
diet.
says, "Have you tried Angels?" And I said, "No, I mean, I'm a Buffalo Trace Blanton's guy," and he poured me a shot of that. I'm like, done.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
so yeah, it was.
So we joke we always bring that to Bike Week. So there will be bottles of Angel's Envy at Bike Week for the
no,
5
warn
finger
her
death
now.
punch.
That might be bad. When I can't feel my face, that's not good.
Hey, it's not moonshine. We're good.
Oh my gosh, we got into the moonshine last year.
Oh yeah. Oof.
We killed four
I think it was
mason
5.
jars or 5 mason jars of moonshine between like 4 of us.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, peaceful Jesus.
Not a good look for anybody.
Yeah, that's going to be ugly.
The good thing is
200
the guy who had it. It was 200 yards. Now our sights are literally 3 yards away from where it's going to happen. So we actually moved sites next to one of the guys who works for Ed Morse Auto Group.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So we move right next to him because we all party together and ride together every year anyway. So we're like, what's the point of us being 200 yards away when these spots that you had are now open? We're just going to take it.
Jump in those.
Because he buys like 5 or 6 spots for his guys to all show up, and he throws a big party, has a DJ, and the whole.
Nice.
It's fun. You'll have a good time. Trust me.
I'm sure we will.
But those 200 yards seemed like 1,000 yards.
Oh
They were
well,
just-
for you.
Yeah, when you're toast, yeah, it's not going to be good.
So we woke up in the morning. He's like, "Where's my phone? Where's my pants? Where's my
butthole pics. Let's
Yep.
go.
Oh God, it was funny. It was a good time.
It was great. I'm surprised you were still good the next day.
Yeah, I'm built different. This guy was like, I was up early because my wife was leaving early in the morning. So we packed her up, got her stuff in her Jeep, and got her out of there. And then I cleaned up because I had a rental for an RV. So I rented an RV. So I'm like, well, I'm going to clean it up real quick while these guys are still racked out. So I had 2 guys in the bunks in the back of the RV, like
We were
sawing logs. Like there was no side left on the RV. They blew it out. So I cleaned up the whole thing, and they woke up and they're like, "Oh my God, what happened? It's clean." I'm like, "Yeah, you guys have been sleeping." They're like, "How the hell are you even alive?" And I'm like, I literally said, "Built different," and they're like,
Yep.
I had already gone out off our buddy's other RV and had opened up the thing. I had breakfast ready, eggs, bacon, sausages were all ready, and everyone's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like,
Right.
I said, "Guys, I'm still drunk." That's the best part. I
Dude.
woke up drunk and happy. You didn't drink
You know how
enough.
many
That was your problem.
You know how many lacrosse games I have played
Oh, God.
better hungover than I have sober?
Well, and I'll say the same thing. I have. I'm gonna. How do I say this without no good trouble?
Be careful, Eric.
So
yeah.
I can honestly say I know of people who shoot better when they're hungover because
Yes.
they don't care about everything going on around them and they just focus on what they need to do. Because you know,
Yeah,
shooting is
so-
90% mental and
Yeah, it is.
20% physical.
All right, so here's the thing, and I'll share the video that I just taped for the intro for Surviving Man. You know, when we introduced this, long range shooting or shooting itself really is 95% mental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you forget everything that's going on around you, but you remember your process, breathing, dial, trigger squeeze, target acquisition, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Conquer the castle last year, and I will blame a certain individual who will remain nameless because he's still active, for mixing several mind erasers and
Ooh,
other shots I have not taken since I was in college.
yeah.
For this, but they were giving us IV infusions before we shot.
Hey,
So
that's
I've
probably
got a
not a
buddy
bad
of
idea.
mine. He actually shoots with us. He works. He's actually a chief of police for Paducah, and he had his bags with him.
Yep.
And it's just like, nope, come here, stick us and go.
Well, the good thing is one of our members is an EMT, and he said he's going to stock up on our bags, so we'll have IVs at Bike Week this year.
Nice.
So we will be all set. We'll be doing the same thing. Everybody will be out in the morning, like one in each arm. Life is good.
He was doing it in our rooms at the castle.
Oh, that's
Dude,
awesome.
if you're ever going to want to come to a match to watch the Conquer the Castle match or King of 1 Mile, that's at Greystone Castle in Mingus, up northern Texas, up by Dallas.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a gorgeous facility. It's an Orvis Lodge, so I mean the food is epic. It's well worth the trip up just to watch, and you'll see a bunch of crap. It's awesome.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'll keep in touch with you on that for sure. So it's not like we're not going to talk to each other after this.
Right.
No. Of course not.
So what else you got? Motorcycles. Want to talk motorcycles?
We can do motorcycles.
Yes.
So I know we talked a little bit at the break about we're both motorcycle heads. You've had a bunch.
Yep.
I've had a bunch.
Yep.
Yeah.
So why don't you run us through your motorcycle repertoire?
So let's
getting
see.
fancy.
Going way back, an FCR 600R is actually the first bike that I ever rode, outside of dirt bikes, motocross type stuff. Went way too fast on that dude and ended up selling it. This is back when I lived in New York. Took a break from riding for a little while. Had a CBR. There again, all crotch rockets. So when I got affiliated, with you guys and Warrior Shield, I'm like, yeah, I'm an old fat man that needs to be on a bike. Uh, One of the guys and one of the contractors that I work with, he's like, dude, I got a fat boy. He said, damn near brand new. He says, I don't ride it. And I said, you know what? I said, this sounds like a good plan for me. And then I had to go to Round Rock here locally for an appointment that ended up getting canceled. But stopped in the Harley the other night. I saw this pretty green breakout 117, and I said, "Yep,
There you go.
that's it."
That's the
All
one.
in. So yeah, with me, I same thing. I started on sport. Well, I started on dirt bikes, then got into sport
Yeah,
bikes. So I've had
exactly.
I had a Ninja 600, an R6, then an RF 900R, CBR 1100. Then I switched. As I got older, I noticed I went as I got older, bigger, and fatter. I went up in CCs to keep maintaining the speed. So
Yeah.
apparently, that was part of it. And actually, I've talked with Tanya before, like after my really bad wreck on my 600, I had like a whole complex of, I don't care if I die. And I think she wrote about
survivor
it.
contact.
Yeah,
Yep.
so she talked about it in one of her books. I kind of gave her
Yep.
some info on it and background of it, and it was like, yeah, I was that guy. I was that guy. I just didn't care, And
So, have
crazy.
you ever gotten her signature head tilt when she goes, "Really?"
Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay, so
that was you, huh? I'm like, yeah, it was me.
so so we're sitting here, and it was before you did your podcast, and we started talking again, and I said, "Hey," I said, "I'm going to buy a bike," and she did, and I went, "Fudge."
You're like,
Yeah, she goes, "Are you sure that's a good idea?"
It was the F dash 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 word.
Yeah.
Yes. Being it's Christmas, I figured I would do the Christmas story thing.
Yeah, I have a leg lamp at my house on right now.
So, I've come to the conclusion, no matter where God puts us and, in our journey or whatever, her probably will sit on my bike twice while I own
Yeah, yeah.
it. But
In the
you know
garage for a
what?
picture.
Yeah, it'll be the, hey, here I am. It's pretty mental health green, whatever. But,
Yeah,
it's, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I bet she heard that. And she's
but
like,
yeah,
really?
I got the head tilt too when I told her that story
Oh
about
my
peer
God,
support
dude.
training.
In,
It was
in,
like,
in the 2 years, literally 2.5 years that I've known that woman, I've only got it once. And then That.
and then that.
Yeah. Well,
So
Yeah.
I certainly got it with that one. Everyone in the room was like, of course I'm in a
Are you
patient courtroom, so it's a
sure?
safe place.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, one, you did that. And two, you're willing to talk about it in front of her. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't care. I'm alive. I made it through that
Dude,
section of my
well, you
life.
sat through peer support, so she went through the whole, the dude that went freaking cliff diving and all this
Oh,
other
yeah.
shit. You know, what I mean,
Yep.
it's the way it happens. I was no different in 2016 after I survived a house fire.
Yeah.
I was like, if fire can't kill me, nothing can kill me.
Well,
So
exactly.
I went through that.
Yeah. And it's crazy like that. How your mind just is like, you went down on a bike at 60 miles an hour, broke 8 ribs, your collarbone in 2 places, your shoulder got life flighted out, and you lived. You walked out of the hospital the next day. You're indestructible.
Yeah.
No, I'm not indestructible. I'm just fat and it didn't break through everything. So
Exactly. I had a lot of cushion. I had
hey,
tactical fluff.
Bumbles bounce. Oh, another
Yep.
Christmas reference. There we go, off of Rudolph. So yeah, it was crazy. So
Yeah.
I'm now into obviously the Harleys and stuff now. So
Oh no, dude, and that was it. Originally when I entertained getting a bike, I was gonna go with the Sportster, and
okay,
then then I fell into that guy that I worked with overseas that he had this, he wasn't coming back anytime soon, so I was like, okay, it made sense. And then this past week when I stopped into Round Rock Harley, I'm like, no, this is it just called at me, and I'm like, yep, done. Sign the paperwork, I'm done.
Yeah, that's the bike you're looking at.
When it's like with anything else, when all of a sudden all the stars align and it's like, that's it, that's a calling. Yep, that makes sense. So
Yeah. So, like for me, I'm very different, I guess.
oh yeah,
So I ride Indians.
well, we already know you're different, dude, but different, not less.
I ride an Indian. I'm special.
But they're I can't say better, but kind of. What you get for the money, you can't really beat it.
No, you can't.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
so
it's like buying a Honda or a real car.
Right.
that's fine. So I there's just something about it.
Yeah.
Plus, it's still in that same realm.
Oh
it's
yeah,
still kinda,
it totally is. It's having a sewing machine versus a real bike.
my bike
Well,
doesn't
no.
sound
All
like a
right.
sewing
So,
machine.
all right, I'm going to defend him on this for a minute.
Yeah.
So, years ago, I worked for a contract, just doing contract work in between time and shooting sports, doing paint booths, and I worked at a Harley factory.
Yeah.
And to watch their meticulousness, if that's even a freaking word,
It is now.
well,
We'll add it.
yeah. So their
It's like a
manufacturing
crust.
process,
Crust,
let's just
yeah.
say that their manufacturing process rivals General Motors in the Corvette plant in Bowling Green.
Okay.
So the time spent on each vehicle, time spent on each operation is light years ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I actually got to doing some stuff with work. I actually got to tour the Polaris factory when they, where they
yes.
were making snowmobiles, the enhanced
Right. The
mobility
fun stuff.
racers and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
we got to go on their test track with some stuff that hadn't been out yet. So I got to ride in a Pro R Razor before they actually put them out. So they took us
hell
out. They're
yes.
like, "Hey, with your agency, yeah, we'd love to take you out and show you all this stuff because obviously they're looking for a contract. We know that, but it was amazing.
Duh.
Like it was amazing to go out there and see that. And if they have that same meticulousness of that factory that they did with Indian, I can see why they're doing well.
No, Polaris
it makes
is
sense.
doing very, very well, and I'm glad to see it because
We need
from a
more
sportsman's
American
act
stuff.
point,
Yeah.
yeah, from a sportsman, hunter type guy, everyone's like, "Wow, Polaris kind of fell off the face of the earth." But when you get into law enforcement and true purpose built.
Yep.
So, all right, I'll give you an example. So, down at Griffin Group, down in North Carolina, that's where we hold Memorial 3 Gun every year. I was just walking around, following Nate and Joe Farewell. I noticed some of the Polarises that they had down there with the turrets and all this heavy on top of it that they train with. And I was talking to one of the SF guys, and I said, what's the difference? And he said, well, they purpose build this stuff for us.
Yeah, they have a
Right.
specific line at the factory, and it's
Yep.
cool because you're sitting there, you're like, wow, that one's tan. And they're like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of our military spec ones. And we told them like, well, what can you do? They're like, oh, you want a recon mount? We've got it. You want a UAV launch platform? Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
And so everything that you want, they will put it in your specific build setup. So like our guys, you're gonna have to zap that.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that piece.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's cut that.
Yeah, that was a little bit too specific, but our SWAT team guys have those specific built setups for themselves. Now they go through getting it through a side contract with Polaris, but they've done a phenomenal job for our SF guys for sure, and military in general. Like they are pro-American. Like that's that American built stuff, and that's what I like.
Right. So that's how, we've come to kind of gain some attention, I should say, in your community, that, we purpose built stuff for the special operations teams that within your agencies that, we want something built. So the 3-letter agency, if they want something in a helo, we've already designed and manufactured a head that will mount our rifle to that head, so they're not having to strap it down.
Yep.
If they get into something stupid that dictates that they've got to go hot, it's right there. There's no fumbling around, pardon, for everything else.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Polaris is they have come so far. They kind of went sideways a little bit.
Yeah.
And they got more into the recreation.
Yeah.
But what I love about them is that they bounced back. So now they're understanding that purpose built versus general consumer market is where it's at.
Well, I mean, that's where you get those big the lucrative contracts, and honestly, when you specific build it with X, Y, and Z, and you've already got those plans set up, it actually doesn't hurt you on your line because you're not having to add stereos and this and that, like all the other.
Right. I mean, you may have to add a UF radio or UHF radio, whatever. But, when we go to the expo, I'm talking with a lot of the guys and, it's like, okay, well, what do you need? Yeah. And they're like, well, we don't need this. Take that shit away. We don't need it. We don't use it. But, that's the one thing about my job that I love is getting in the trenches with guys like yourselves that are there every freaking day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even local agencies that are forced to buy their own.
Yeah. Yeah. That does happen a lot.
We've got an I Got Your Six program that basically you're getting agency pricing, and we do a payroll deduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid. Why should you have some hard equipment?
Don't mind the 6.2 liter motor that just started in the background. My kid's taking off in my truck apparently.
Oh, Mama's taking off, huh?
No, my kid.
The second 6.2.
Yeah, the 6.2, the second one in my truck because the first one exploded.
Oh, sounds like my Dodge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My motor. We were on the way to an event for the club for Riley's ride, and we got just outside of Tucson, and the motor locked up solid. At 85
I'll do you
miles
one
an hour.
better.
Pretty much.
I'll do you one better. I had a Hemi blow up in my garage and burn my house down.
Dodge these pistons.
Yeah, but I was in the house. That was not good.
Oh no, that's not good. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Yeah, no, it was. We laugh about it all the time because my Harley had blown a front piston on it because I don't drive easy on it. I still drive it like a sport bike, and so we're standing on the side of the road and he goes, "Well, hey, it's good. Your truck's trying to match your bike now." I'm like, "You."
So I had to take the stupid safety course when I got after I picked up the bike and everything else.
Yeah.
So I schedule it. I'm kind of a stickler, and I'll blame someone for this, but I'm kind of a stickler on schedule. But I pick up my bike, schedule my safety course for my Texas license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go out, do that. I'm doing the weave. He's like, "What are you doing?" "I'm doing your test, bro." He's like, you shouldn't be doing it like that." "Why?" "Well, you're on this, and that's really. Here's what I grew up writing on, dude.
Yeah.
I will weave around your. Just move."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, but so on the Indian thing, it's just
this is what it comes to down. Is Ubi's like, I've got an Indian.
Granted.
I love the fact that you looked around to see who did that.
So granted, it
Yeah.
did sound like a sewing machine. My current bike sounded like a
No,
sewing machine.
it did
for a good long
before he
time.
he actually finally got an exhaust on it. I mean, it sounded like we'd be going down the street and he'd be like, I'm going to rev my bike up.
But it was still
Sound like a
quick.
fart.
It was terrible. It was
Yeah,
just,
it
it was so quiet. It was just like, oh my God, dude. Like,
It's like getting picked up from the airport in an electronic vehicle.
oh God. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
so it's kind of in that realm. But now
Now it sounds
it sounds great. But now I
he
gotta
knocked out
update.
the catalytic converter. EPA go after him, and then put on it some exhaust. And like we went up to lunch one day. And we stopped at there was a Porsche in front of us revving, and it sounded like a turbo. I'm like, hey, that's what your bike used to sound like. And he's like, oh, shut up. So we bag on each other pretty hardcore. It's good. I've got a box of parts still sitting in my garage just in case this motor blows up, so I can throw the old ones back in there.
That's freaking hysterical.
But but Indian's been good to me.
No, Indian. All right, so here's the deal with Indian. They did like, well, you mentioned PSE earlier, right?
Yeah.
So they did like PSE did. They came hell bent for election. They built a great product. They got too big.
Yeah.
Their quality control went.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, they're like, okay, well, we need to focus on this instead of this. Now they're making a comeback.
Yeah. Well, yeah, their business model. They looked at it and was like, "Oh, wow, what we're doing is bad." It's kind of like Harley with the DEI stuff. They're like, this is over with now."
Yeah, we're gonna get back on it.
What's that?
Oh, I definitely.
We're gonna have to edit that one.
No. I was saying, I
He
definitely
as soon
got
as that happened, he was sending me, "Wow, you've got." Stop.
Wow.
Oh,
All right, that probably needs to be edited.
Yeah,
but
we'll
whatever.
edit that one out. That one for sure.
That one probably.
That one will get us banned. It'll be like I was misogynistic because what did I say?
I don't even remember what you were saying. Oh, no, it wasn't the age thing. It wasn't that.
Oh,
it was before that.
No. What was it? So we said something on one cast, and it wasn't even a misogynistic claim. It was just like, I wish I could remember what it was, but it was funny.
I don't remember.
So whatever we had said, they said, "Oh, you're so misogynistic," blah 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 blah, and it was about and then she said, "Oh, and you don't even know how Chat GTP is spelled, or it's because of Chat GPT."
What the?
Do it. So like I was like, and so he goes, "Oh, so you're making fun of his dyslexia?" Because I do, like I flip letters all the time, so it's something that I've
Well, no, I do too. It's the way our brains are wired.
But so he put that back, and it was like silence. He was like, "Oh, crazy!"
Joke.
It was a joke, but it was just like, "Oh, so now you're going to make fun of his speech impediment and his dyslexia?" And it was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
So the lady,
Here we go.
oh, it was,
I was waiting for that to go go off on that.
She got out left winged.
All right.
So yeah, we were laughing about that. But yeah, that was a good one.
So that's kind of a running thing is him being misogynistic.
Yeah. So me being misogynistic, and I think it was about.
What was it?
It doesn't matter either way. We'll find it in one of the other episodes.
Either way, so I just look at it that way.
Yeah, exactly, and that's how we just laughed about it because we're like, well, it is kind of funny though. And then we had another big comment that got on us. We were talking, we were just joking about like the megalodons and could they still be around, and like and then we started talking about how our subs haven't seen megalodons, like, and it's like, is it because we're avoiding them? So we're just kind of BSing,
Right?
And this guy's like, imagine that, two Americans who know less about the paleontologic record than they do about Navy submarines.
Right.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong.
I don't know how the hell you guys do it. I mean, the amount of I got a buddy of mine who does the Liberty First Foundation podcast. And he has to edit 90% out, or he gets flagged.
Oh yeah, no, we got kicked off of TikTok in the first episode. I think we were saying something bad about Chinese people. I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
I don't even think it was that.
No, like we had no clue. We
no,
were like,
I've got one of our guys that's got like an international liaison. He sends me his TikTok, and I'm like, bro, it's TikTok. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's look at it. I'm like, no,
they're tracking everything. Take it off your phone.
Yeah, but
dude, I ended up buying one of the phones that Eric Prince bought out.
Oh, okay.
And I will tell you right now, it is awesome. It's not this phone, but I
Yeah.
mean, my work phone
Yeah.
is that blackout phone. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I
Really?
don't get any spam. I don't get anything
Oh,
out of it.
I need that
That's-
because
yeah,
my
I know.
phone. So like that's why I like my phone. If people try to get a hold of me, like even the guys in the club are like, "You never answer your phone." I'm like, "Yeah, because it's on silent. I leave it on
Yeah.
silent and do not disturb all the time because I don't want to get the
Yeah.
calls. If my
Well,
wife
no,
calls or my
it's
kids
like
calls,
these,
it goes through automatically. So
right. And it's like these tracking apps like Life
oh,
360 and, Apple this, Apple that.
I mean, we use that.
we
Though.
use 360 in the club, unfortunately, for
Well,
nationals when we're doing our
no,
national
no.
event.
And I understand that. And
Yeah,
obviously, I'm going to share my location with you all. But,
yeah. Well, yeah, we have it locked
that
down. It's
app
only
is stupid.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
That app is stupid on a personal level.
yep.
Yeah.
But, sharing location, I get it. You know what? I don't need a notification every time you go to the mailbox.
No, exactly. He walked to the mailbox today. Now I do have to laugh
So-
because
For kids, though, that's-
when my son is driving, all of a sudden I'll get a thing. He hit 90 miles an hour, so I'll call my hey, kid. What the hell's going on? He's like, your truck's.
Slow down.
He goes, your truck's fast. What can I say? I'm like, okay, just don't get caught. So he's like, yeah,
Right.
He goes, yeah, I've got your radar plugged in. Okay, good. Just don't get caught.
But that's just it. I mean, and when Tanya and I first got together, she said, "Well, we need to do Life 360." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Bit me later, but
Yeah.
now I don't care if she's going from point A to point B. I don't fucking
Oh,
care.
I still get notifications when when Bear, our international founder, gets on a plane. It's like, oh, he's on a plane in Chicago.
You know what I want?
How the hell does it know he's getting on a plane?
Eric, here's the God's honest truth with some of these tracking apps. If it hits the fan and you ping me and say, okay, whatever code we have that says, okay, I need assistance, I need an exfil,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
I want to know where you're at. Otherwise, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, what I would do at
Exactly.
that point probably is I would send you a pin on Apple Maps. That's going to be,
And
if
that's
you get
what I
a
would
pin from
prefer.
me on Apple
Yeah.
Maps, it's something bad happened. Get me out of here now.
And generally, that's the code. I mean,
Yeah.
you know from your experience, and he knows from his experience. If you send me a pin, it means you need exfil, and I'm going to come find you.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I don't care.
Exactly. I don't.
So and so went to the
it's
bank.
It's like back in the day when we had when we had our you get 911 on your beeper.
Oh my God, the
Your
pager.
pager, yeah. Oh my God,
Oh my God.
911. They need help. And you call, can you come pick me up? Or like
Yeah, pick me
before
up
we had
from the mall.
Do you remember calling your parents collect and saying, will you accept a call from Dairy Queen? No, and the parents no, and then they just knew that. Okay, go pick them up from Dairy
See,
Queen.
my old man was a dick, and if I did that from Camillus Mall, he'd be like,
Yeah,
"Nope,
exactly.
walk. It's 3 miles."
Well, exactly right.
So, do you want to share your experience at Bike Week?
Which one? Oh my God, yeah. So at Bike Week last year, we went out to God, what was the
like
bar? It was
Dirty
fun.
Dog or
Dirty
something
Dog,
like that.
which they do.
Yeah,
like,
Dirty Dog,
Yeah,
okay.
the girls are standing on the bar and they get water sprayed on them, and it's like Coyote Ugly type of deal. And everybody cheers for them and picks the winner and all that. So we're out there partying all night. We get home, and I wake up in the morning to a text from my wife. Where the are you?
Yeah, that was.
And I'm
great.
like, I text her back. I'm like, I'm at the RV. Bull. And I'm like, no, I really am. And so I open up my map and it shows me at like some house like 5 miles away in some neighborhood. And I'm like, no, honey, I really am. She goes, oh, really? Prove it. So I FaceTimed her. And I'm like getting up out of the RV and I walk out. She goes, it's showing you at a place like 5 miles away. I'm like, I don't know how that.
right,
Did you
so that's
shut
the
your
problem.
location off at that house? No, I didn't show my location's on. You can see where I'm at right now. She goes, yeah, it still shows you there. I'm like, honey, I didn't set up a green screen to show you that I'm in the RV. Like, honestly. And she's like, well, I can hear the bikes go by. She goes, that's the weirdest thing ever. She goes, I woke up this morning to see where you're at because you said, sent me the picture. Oh my God, we're having a good time.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'm thinking you went home with one of the ladies on the bar. I'm like, honey, I'm 46 and fat. The ladies that are on that bar
wants
are
me?
not going to go home with me.
Right.
They're going to go home with the guy who's got the money in the Corvette outside, not the guy who's on the Harley.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that was great.
Oh, we were laughing so hard about it. So like she showed up
No.
and it like took her when she put in like where we're at. It took her to that neighborhood. It was so funny. She's like, yeah, it took me to this
Dude,
neighborhood. I'm like, it's because there's the cell phones are messed up.
it got to the point, dude, where it's like I go into this stupid app and I'm like, shut off, shut off, shut off, shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, I don't, like I said, I
No.
don't need to know when you go to the mailbox.
Yeah. I don't want to know when you're at the mail. I don't need to
I would
go.
rather you say 911, I'm here, and send me a pin
Yes.
Yeah.
than anything else.
So I can tell you right now, with three of us for sure, if I ever send you a pin on a map, something went bad.
Yeah.
That's going to be that's my code. You're going to get a pin with a location.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be hopefully it doesn't happen, but
No.
you know,
So on a real random thing here, we'll go
the
off
whole
on-
the whole podcast on this half has been random. It's been
Yes,
great.
Right.
I love it.
Well, three guys that have SOS. What are you gonna
Yeah,
expect?
shiny object syndrome. So that's what we call his ADHD is shiny object syndrome.
Squirrel.
Yeah,
Squirrel,
squirrel.
yes, that actually happened.
Oh, like it's yeah. On our way up to nationals last year to Chicago, I'm driving in front of him, and this thing comes hauling across the road, and I swerved around it real quick, and he smoked the hell out of it, and it was a squirrel, and it hit right in the center of his radiator. It just so there was we stopped at the next gas stop. He's like, "Did I hit that squirrel? Didn't I?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you smoked it." And he looks, and there's little squirrel fur all over the front of his. So he had to take water and spray out the squirrel fur out of his radiator. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, "Hey, I got an air cooled bike. Wouldn't bother my bike." I'm just saying. You've got an Indian. No, we were laughing about it. It was good stuff.
So on the randomness,
Yeah.
what was the best game show? Because we've lived through so much different type of game shows.
Yeah.
You had like Survivor considered a game show, but I don't know.
Oh, Survivor was not a game show.
so
I love
fake.
Rogan, but no.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or what else were the other ones? But we grew up with stuff like Price is Right. That's still a thing.
Yeah.
You know, what was
What
kind of the
I think
best
was the
game show?
best game show. Ooh. I'm still a fan of the old Deal or No, the
Deal or
whammy
No
one.
Deal?
The whammy one.
Oh, Deal or No Deal or No
it's
Deal.
Pressure Luck.
Pressure Luck, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not necessarily
No
a
whammy,
fan
no
with
whammy, no
Elizabeth
whammy.
Banks there, but I like the old one. The old one was cool.
She's got
Because I like
well,
the
she
whammies.
used to
They're
be
like
pretty hot.
they're funny. The little whammies are
Yeah.
funny. I don't know.
She used to be pretty hot.
And I always love it. Oh, I'm just going to do one more and stop. And it eats. Yeah, moron. It's a computer program. It's going to eat your money. Relax.
Yeah.
Going,
No.
to, going to the casino.
It's like dealing with the IRS.
Right?
It's going to eat your money.
No, but I mean, we've lived
There's
through
been some great shows.
so many different types. So now game shows.
You know what? I'll call it a skill show. One of my favorite shows of all times is Top Shot. I loved it. Top Shot, I love it because they did a whole lot of different type of shooting with different firearms. So you got to see some different firearms. You got to see different people shooting from different walks of life. Like, oh, you got a competitive shooter here and then a military guy here. And then it's like,
Yeah.
it was really cool. I would say that's more of a skill show than a game show, but I thought it was kind of cool. I really liked it.
That's what I dug about doing Surviving Man is the fact that it was people from all walks of life. You had CrossFit competitors, you had a triathlete, you had former soft guys, and you had some dude who was a freaking lawyer. All rolled into one.
Yeah.
And Top Shot's kind of the same thing where you had everybody under the sun just doing their same shit. There's another show, and I cannot remember the life of me for what it is. It's similar to Top Shot, but it's like air gun challenge.
Oh,
You know, Larissa Switlick's on it, and I can't think of what the hell the name of it is, but it's the same thing. It's people from all walks of life doing their stuff.
well, on the one you just filmed, Survivor Man, right? Some of those people I would assume have not used firearms before.
Oh my God, no.
So, like, did they at least come out of it with some sort of respect of like, this is fun? Like, all of a sudden it changed their mind from firearms are a terrible, horrible thing to this is kind of fun.
Yeah, so the way, I mean, we did the All Star episodes. So it was, like I said, Laney Barnes, she's a triathlete, she's three gunner. She's actually cool, and I've got a funny story to tell about her. But We had some SF guys that were in there. We had some CrossFitters in there that had never fired a gun ever. Um, they had some firearms knowledge because, I mean, after all, it's supposed to be a military show.
Yeah.
But what was funny was, Tig put them through their paces.
Yeah.
And Lanny Barnes and I met in I guess it was 2020, 2021 at a 3-gun match. And one of my sponsor shooters, I was making custom holsters for 3-gunners in LE and military when I first moved down here. And I walked up on a stage and I said, she was filming, she got DQ'd. And I said, hey, do you mind, sending me whatever pictures you have of Rachel? And it was Rachel Mazio who I was sponsoring. And she says, who the F are you? And I'm like, I'm her sponsor.
Yeah.
Just chill. So the second evolution of Surviving Man, and you'll see it, and Tig may or may not watch this, but we had a stage that simulated Benghazi in the fact that they had to go rescue a hostage.
Yep.
And we went down through this canyon at Prairie Fire, and they had to rescue a throw dummy that we got from Randy Couture that we strapped a lot of plates to, and drive it, or basically drag it 140 yards back and
Yep.
put it in a wheelbarrow, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of her run, Lanny Barnes came up, and I'm sitting underneath a tent. It was hotter than balls, and I get this big old bear hug, and I didn't know who it was. And of course, I snapped to, and I said, "Can I help you?" She
Well,
says,
you were hoping it
"I'm
wasn't
sorry."
Tig.
No, right. She says,
Hey, is
"I'm
that a
sorry."
pistol in your pocket or?
Right, you're just happy to see me. I know it's been a minute since you've been home, but no, she said, "I'm sorry." And I said, "For what?" She goes, "Anything I've ever said to you or done to you in the past." And I said, "For what?" She goes, "That was hell."
Updated notes. Okay.
I said, "You didn't know." I said, "Here's the problem, Lanny." I said, "You didn't know what we were about to put you through." I said, "These are real world battle situations. This is what John went through."
Yep.
So, it is what it is. But, Surviving Man was it was a lot of disorganization, but it was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
really fun.
The idiots want to thank Sketchy Alias, one of our founding sponsors, for everything he has done for us. Sketchy works in vector-based design and has been working in the design field for 15 years.
His designs have been used on coins, apparel, websites, and logos. Sketchy is also a veteran who serves this great nation. Thank you for your friendship, work ethic, and service. Well, and I think that gives them a lot of respect to what actually goes on in the real world. Like you see, like gosh, I can't remember who the Congressional Medal of Honor recipient was. That it was the first videoed Congressional Medal of Honor earner, the one there in Afghanistan that charged the 2 pillboxes by himself.
Was that Dakota Meyer?
Yes, it might be. It might be. I don't know.
Okay,
It was
so
the one that had the Chinooks in there dropping off more SF guys to get him out of there, and he ended up dying, succumbing from his wounds.
oh no, it definitely was not Dakota.
No, because he's up. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I hate it in my head that I can't remember his name because I just watched something on it, and they had talked about how this is the first one that was actually filmed, where they went back and reviewed everything, and they had a big play up on it, and it was the same thing. Like people, like even like the congressional members that we're talking about, they're like, we never knew, like that's what happened.
Well, and that's just it. Nobody knows nowadays what these guys go through.
Exactly.
What Dakota went through. Yeah, he and I talked when I guess it was about a year ago when everything was, filming with Tanya and everything else like that. We were kind of just, BSing back and forth. And, of course, you got fanboys that are all over his and they want to do this. And Tim Kennedy is no different.
Yeah.
Tim Kennedy, you say what you want to about him, but the man's, he's squared away.
Yeah.
They just don't see what those guys see on the battlefield.
Yeah. I to be honest, I loved them with the Black Rifle Coffee guys doing the
Oh my God.
range 22.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God, that movie is hilarious. Oh, so yeah, that's some funny stuff. I love that movie. So,
So on the game show thing,
Yeah.
apparently I keep doing that. So on the game show thing,
Oh, we
So
scrolled big time.
I
Sorry.
know
We shinied.
we went SOS.
He's gonna have hell editing this, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's why I pay him so much.
Yeah, I wish I got paid. But so, like I said, like I was saying, we've grown up through different eras of game shows,
Yeah.
different kinds of
Yeah.
game shows. What would you consider the best game? Something you could watch still now, even if it's an old game show, something that piques your interest, I guess. Because for me, I could still watch The Price is Right. I could still, to this day, there's just something.
Drew
about
Carey's
it.
pretty cool. I actually like Drew Carey.
Drew Carey is the bomb, but I will say there's probably Family Feud.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Feud.
so
Well,
Jim
Steve-
Dawson was the ladies' man,
Yep.
but old boy's got it now. He's got it right.
Oh, Steve
Yes.
Harvey's got
Steve-
it, man.
He is flipping
my God.
hysterical.
Like when have you seen the one where the girl's all bouncy? And
Yes.
and Darius is like, and he's like, hey, you're right there. Darius! And she's bouncing her
Right.
boobs. Oh my God. I'm like,
Jeez, I
oh boy.
don't think I've seen that clip.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just look up Family Feud bounce and
Yeah.
it's in there.
Sounds like you
I
got that
may or may
bookmarked.
not have searched that once or 5 times.
Right.
Just clear my history when you find me.
Family Feud is definitely a good
Yeah,
one.
that's
too.
a good one because
Yeah.
they're pretty funny. Like Steve Harvey's
Oh,
really
yeah.
funny. Like
Yeah.
when he's not announcing the wrong person to win something, he's really funny.
Right.
Which still, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that. The crap
He's a
people
really
come up
cool,
with.
down to earth guy, though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Harvey's a
Oh, yeah,
down to
very
earth
much so.
guy, so
He's a hard worker too. He's been doing a lot of stuff.
yeah.
But the stuff people come up with.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Holy
gosh, yes.
crap!
And I think they can get, and I think they know they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, just because, I mean, he's going to have fun with it. I mean, obviously, there's a ton of editing involved, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I
It
think
has to
he can
be.
have a ton. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like some of those answers, like when people come up with that, and you're like, you come up with like 20 what I would think good answers in your head, and you're like, who the hell are they asking these things?
Right.
To? These are like the dumbest human beings on the planet.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Just like,
What's your favorite day of the week? Fun day.
Yeah.
The hell? It's not even a day of the week, you morons. Anyway,
So that's a good one, but that's an old show.
yeah,
You consider
it
that
really
that's-
is.
that's
That is
an
an
old
old show.
show.
It's been around for a long time.
Maybe it's an age thing for us.
Yeah.
Could
Get out
be.
there.
Could be.
No, I think you're right. It's an age thing for us. We're at that age where that's what we grew up with, you know, watching on TV when we were home from school or whatever.
Yeah. The day you were pretending to be sick.
Yeah.
I've got anal glaucoma. Can't see.
Can't see my doing shit. Yep.
But like stuff they come up with nowadays. These
Oh, there's
game
some
shows.
dumb game shows.
Oh
Oh
my.
my God, yes.
Like what the hell?
Well, it's like any of these dating shows. Like, I laugh at these
Blind Date.
Blind Date, The Bachelor. Like
Oh,
women,
Jesus, yes.
women who think men are pigs for dating more than one woman are watching a show of a man dating more than one woman and loving it.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Like Blind Date's a great example. That whole thing. Those guys are bullshitting the whole time.
Yep.
Bull everything about their life.
That's
Yep.
true.
I got to get a few in, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm
We're
winning
gonna
by-
we're
I'm
gonna
winning
call
by a
this the beep episode.
lot. Yeah, right. We might have to. But it's the
No,
kind of thing-
they're
Oh,
they're
go ahead.
throwing lines like a fisherman is what they're
yeah.
doing.
Oh, absolutely.
That
Now, some of
shows-
them, I honestly, I have used a couple of them on the wife, and they have worked. No, she doesn't watch the podcast too often, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's also the one saying I need to get me a 46-year-old.
Oh my god! Oh, she got
great.
it. So we went out to lunch. We went out to lunch with my wife, and we're sitting there at lunch, and you know,
You
he
took
had
me
just
out for my
gone through a
birthday.
terrible breakup. Not really.
And
It
you
was
took
just-
me out for my birthday.
Yeah, and I
It
took you out for your
was-
birthday.
It
So
was,
it was your birthday
birthday
lunch.
lunch.
And so we had a couple of drinks, and so we're sitting there, and she's like, you need to get yourself a nice older, a nice woman, like a 45-year-old or something. He goes, oh, that's old. And she goes, I'm 46.
yeah.
And he goes, And I said, what, you don't think my wife's good looking at 46?
Oh,
And he
yeah.
was like,
He
oh,
just
so
Eric
I
just buried
I set him
me.
up. So if he says, yes, she's good looking. Oh, so you think my wife's pretty? And if he says no, then I'm like, oh, so my too old? Like, I set him up bigger. And then, of course, as soon as I did, he just starts digging in more. She's like,
All right, guys. So we're going to be closing out this first part of a 2-part episode now.
yeah. And it's been a great, once again, Steve. It's been awesome talking to you. So what we want to do
I
is give
appreciate
you
you
a minute.
having me.
Oh, it's awesome. Like, once again, I'm going to make some time to come out there and go shooting with you. Like we were talking about earlier in the episode, we're going to come out. We're going to spend some time. We're talking about loading up the bikes and riding out taking the truck
Yep.
out so we can, we'll bring maybe some of our old, crappier firearms to,
There you go.
so
Well,
I
we have
can-
guns and ammo ready
so
for
that I
you,
can
bro.
look at your stuff and
Absolutely.
say, okay, now I got to explain to God why I got to have one of
I gotta
these
have
now.
a better.
Yeah, I
Right.
need to have this now because otherwise, I'm not, working well with these guys. So, real quick, if you want to give us a shout out to some of your connections here, real quick, and then we'll call this episode done.
Sure. Our link on social media is 51fifty Rifles. Obviously, we make the best and most accurate rifle in the industry as far as AR and bolt guns are concerned. But I do encourage you to walk over to warriorshield.org and corporalchado.org and donate. They are our 2025 recipient for Warrior Shield Weekend.
Awesome. So, as always, as we always say when we go, we want to live good,
Ride hard.
and we will catch you next time.
All right, be good.
All right.